that I wasn't right, yet I was right by your side. You manipulator, playing games, your friends commentators, and I don't know what you say about our private conversations, but it's got them hating. Thanks to all the rumors you be claiming, it's cool, I'm done with you, so they can throw you a celebration. You gon' hate it when you see me with somebody living better. I'm trying to tell you that me just doing me gon' have you jealous.
Hello folks, welcome back. Chris live in Central Pennsylvania. Once again, it's February 4th on a Tuesday. Let's do a quick sound check. This microphone is acting up. It's been popping from time to time, so let's see how it sounds. Let's do a quick sound check. This microphone, it's been popping from time to time, so let's see. Sounds okay at the moment, but I've noticed it on my recording of videos that it's popping a little bit. Welcome back, folks. What can we say? The ANC, my fuck malaise, my goodness. Sorry for the profanity, folks, but oh boy, what are we going to say? It's crazy, 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 crazy out there. Welcome to the 146 people currently here. Wow, that's a nice start. We are happy to get started here. Hendo says 1 exactly, 100. What's that? Okay, all right. Charles' daughter's 15. Are you serious, Charles? I took you for a much older fellow. Sorry, I couldn't resist. You walked right into that, Charles. You walked right into that. All right, so let me get to everybody here in a second. And here's some news for you for the mods. If you go take a gander right now, you'll notice that I just literally, as that intro music was playing, dropped a new video. So I'll put that in the moderator group so you don't have to go looking for the link. The rest of you, whoops, that's not it. How did that happen? There we go. That's what I want. All right. So it's already got 12 views and it's been up less than a minute. Man, I love this. This is how it used to be in the old days. People watching the channel. It's so good to see everyone coming back. All right. So let me put it there. Put it one more place over here in the, where's it at? Chris Wyatt Africa. That's one's got over 600 people in it. Let's put it over there so some people know it's there. But my latest video, and this is about Elon Musk and Ramaphosa talking. That's interesting. By the way, folks, we're up to 28,671 subscribers and climbing. Thank you for that. It's been a very exciting period since just before Donald Trump was sworn in, and we keep up the pace. Let's hope that more people discover the conversation here. Always a pleasure to have you here. I will get to the chat in just a moment, but let me greet 162 of you here now. We got a lot to talk about as always. Once again, expropriation without compensation is on the table. Donald Trump's on the table. Elon Musk is on the table. And the M23 rebels have declared a ceasefire in the Congo. We're going to talk about that as well. But first, let me put Cyril, my jackass penguin, back over here. When I was in Ronaldo yesterday, he was hanging out this side. Let's put him back where he belongs. Okay. Wow. I actually got a little bit of sleep this morning. Went to bed about 4 o'clock and got up at 8 o'clock. Yeah, so I got about almost 4 hours sleep there. So that was a nice change of pace. So maybe I'm as fresh as a daisy now after everything that's been going on. But I did drop another video last night, and I haven't even had a chance to see how it's doing. So let me just take a look on that and see what's going with that video. That video about Ramaphosa and the ANC, what do I call this thing? Begging. Oh, that's at 43,000. Wow. Let's see if it's going up or down. Last 48 hours. It's dropping. Okay, so it's had its big robust period. So whoever's watched it, thank you for that. And hopefully people keep watching it. But we are pretty pleased with where we're going. And this channel has surpassed 5 million views finally. And in addition to 5 million views, the channel has also, somebody just subscribed. Thank you. Don Dreaming Eagle. Thank you. 5 million views. And we've also gone over the 25,000 subscriber threshold. But that was a few days ago for both of those things. But YouTube just informed me of that. Thank you, YouTube, for letting me know the Captain Obvious. Sharon Muller, thank you for subscribing. All right. So let's get to the chat here. Who is this DA you keep talking about? Art Precision. The Democratic Alliance. It's a opposition political party in South Africa that is based on traditional liberal values, but it's left of center, and it's now part of the government of national unity. Mass shooting occurred in Sweden. I didn't see that. Chris, I also wrote to 2CTV and asked them because they asked for correspondence for DC. There's a super chat from Courtney says, good morning. Well, thank you, Courtney. $2. Thank you very much. Our Navy reservist who went the wrong direction. He could have joined the Army, but, you know, yeah, not everybody makes the right decision. No, just kidding. Welcome, Courtney. Thank you for the super chat. Yeah, the 2CTV people asked me if I'd go apply to be a journalist there. I wrote to them. There was no place. It says, you know, contact us, but there's no contact information, no way to contact them. So I just posted on the video where they asked for that. So I don't know what they're looking for there, but I haven't heard back from them. Some people don't like to be outshined. Anyway, Nick Muller's here. Erica, welcome to you. Debbie, greetings to you. Chris Ehlers, Vilma Rasmus. Nice handouts if you give in a what's this? Fracking. What's this fracking? Amanda Antoinette Short says, Okay, well, I guess we'll catch her later. Jacques Koutsias is in Afrikaans. There's a saying, mix yourself with the bread. Yeah, okay. Yeah, I don't know that saying in Afrikaans, Jacques. Thanks for explaining that. Christo Els, Debbie Morey says, I do love the intro pick for a stream 2025 ahead. Makes one want to go on holiday. Well, I'm probably going to change sometime soon. That was just meant to last through January. Anyway, who else we got here? There's Hendo, and I think I've caught Pablo Charlie. I missed 900 Free State Farms in the way of gas mining, EWC. Coincidence? I don't know. It could be, but quite frankly, what South African government should and will never do is return mineral rights to the landowners. That'll never happen. But that's this communist socialist concept that the state owns what's under the ground is bullshit. If you own land, you own property, which is a basic human right, then whatever comes under or across that land belongs to you. Yeah, simple as that. Gabriel says, we're all waiting for Chris. Hey, welcome, Gabriel. I was about a minute late there. The software kept crashing on me 3 times. I had to reboot this software. And the software has been screwed up for about a year now. I can't just reboot it. I've got to go and open up. Anything that has video or motion, I've got to open up because otherwise it does this epileptic, freaking flash and it drives people nuts. So I have to do all that again and hope it works. So imagine doing that 3 times in a row for about 5 different items. The intro video, the music, the browser, my camera, and then the closing video. A minimum 5 times, 15 things. So Dietrich Diepenaar, welcome to you. And all right, so wie is allemaal van die ANC? Well, it's a good question there, 2G. How do we get rid of them? Well, you should have done this all at the ballot box. You need to get in communities and get people convinced not to be doing what they're doing. Relaxing Wolf, thank you. Jean-Tel Fun here, and welcome to you. And then Trevor Bush, Lindrea Myberg. Are they not tracking outside Hopefield? Does anybody know? Not sure what you're talking about there. What's up, Wyatt Commando? Yeah, that'll get us in trouble with the ANC calling ourselves a commando. ANC are doubling down and stating that AfriForm is pushing racist agenda, that Trump should not believe them. They really think that they really do think he's that dumb, Charles. This just shows you how stupid the ANC is. It just shows you how dumb the South African electorate is, that they would elect people that are this stupid. They think they're clever. I mean, they're using the press, they're using Propaganda 24 to debunk the misconceptions. And again, in the video that I just dropped, I said something very prescient, I believe, well, very factual, maybe that's not prescient, I didn't predict, but very accurate. I said, let me just jump in here because this is in my video that you might want to go check out. Let me see if I can find it. Okay, so I said, Trump on Sunday accused South Africa of confiscating land and badly treating certain classes of people. Now, there are 3 problems with this. Actually, there's 4. I left one out. Yet again, Donald Trump's use of imprecise language allows for wiggle room. Trump should have said they are preparing to confiscate land from lawful owners. Preparing. Had Trump said they are preparing to confiscate land from lawful owners, well, then they'd have less wiggle room. But now instead they can say, well, Trump's misinformed. He's got bad counsel around him. The wrong people are talking to him, and those racists at AfriForum are responsible for this. Do you all really think, now I know AfriForum thinks that they're responsible for this, or at least they played a role, but do you really think that after a decade of lobbying Washington, D.C., and trying to get support, and the only thing they've gotten to date is to go on Tucker Carlson briefly. And then as a consequence of Donald Trump watching Tucker Carlson religiously, he does a tweet saying farmer murders, and that's it. You really think that one intervention has suddenly transformed into Donald Trump announcing the historic suspension of all future foreign assistance in South Africa? You give AfriForum a lot more credit than they deserve. Look, I've got no beef with AfriForum. They're very generous to me when I want to interview them. They're very forthcoming. They're very transparent. Wonderful people. Each and every one I've ever met, they think they do a great job. But if you really think that they had this much influence, and the ANC knows they don't have that much influence. They're just looking for a scapegoat. Notice how the ANC always deflects. Jan van Riebeck, apartheid, racism, colonialism, imperialism, evil white people, stolen arms money, Nkandla, Armsgate, Oilgate, Travelgate, PPE scandals, Paul Mashatile living in a $28.3 million mansion in the Western Cape. He has no money. Zandile Gumeda, Zweli Mkhize, that's been brushed under the carpet. That guy is guilty of crimes according to the Hawks. Munir Palapalo stuffing $560,000 in his sofas. Shall I go on? Ace Magashule, who's just disappeared off the earth. The asbestos tender deer, the Vreda farm. The internal ANC insurrection. The fact that they allowed it to happen, they did nothing about it. The list goes on and on and on and on. But every time that there's a problem, well, it's Jan van Riebeck. It's the commandos. It's racism. It's the evil white people with the facial hair that are just... Me? I had nothing to do with it. Anyway, yeah, so there you go. Gabriel in von der Schweiz, Anne-Marie Nell is here. Welcome to you. And that's Troiko, Hawkeye. All those folks came before we even got started. So a lot of you come in and recently joined us. Thanks for finding the channel. I hope you stick with this. I try to do this 7 days a week, unless I'm traveling or I have consulting gigs going on or I'm teaching. And that crops up occasionally. I do need to pay the tax man and pay my gas bill and my cable bill and my water bill and for petrol and, a little bit of nourishment. And somebody's got to pay for these frappuccinos. So I do have to do a little work every now and then. But typically do this 7 days a week, regardless of the day, even on holidays. Trying to reach out to the world, but especially to South Africa, America and South Africa, to let people know what's going on in the world, give them objective, fair, jab, your dose, your inoculation against the misinformation, disinformation, and propaganda coming from the likes of legacy media and government officials. Yep, there you go. And if you don't know about me and you're just popping in, there's a lot to learn. You can go to LinkedIn and find out about me. People are asking about my biography. I don't want to sit here and bore people with it, so we're not going to do that right now. But check it out. Thanks for becoming a subscriber. And if you're watching and you're not a subscriber, hit the subscriber button. It costs you nothing but a moment of your time. Same with the like button. We got 88 likes already. That's cool. I don't have to beg for likes today.
That was easy.
Yeah, there you go. Just hit that like button. All right, so George is here. Hey, George, welcome to you. DeBaron. Courtney McBride says, good morning from Utah. It is a beautiful place. Yeah. By the way, the Mormons come off very badly in American Primeval, especially Brigham Young. That's not very good. It's unfortunate. There's some accuracy there, but an awful lot of Hollywood involved. What else we got here? Tony Nation from the oil sands of Alberta. Keith Alderson in from Coventry. Timeless Memories is here and subscribe. Thank you for that. Renier says, Chris is super based on all the South African news. Well, thank you for that, Renier. Angry's a gamer. The Americans, that's more South African than most South Africans. Very kind of you. By Donkey. Such a catchy tune. Yeah, it is a good tune. All right. That's Giselle. Vasils Lemmer is here. Welcome, Vasils. Jonritha, I can't read that. Haman, it looks so tiny. Why is that so small? I guess the name is too long. Welcome to you. I love the zombie running across. That's good stuff. Jacques Vint is here. Who else we got there? Keith Alderson already said. Anne-Marie says she's speaking out for cons. I don't have time to translate that in my head. Rita Walters is back. Tell everyone he knows more about South Africa than South Africans. They therefore trust and believe what he says. Yeah, and of course people have attacked me endlessly. The left attacked me, then the right attacked me because I'm conservative, which is right of center, but I'm not over here, and I'm sure as hell not over there. But I got attacked from left and right, from down under, from South Africa, from America. It's funny. I still remember the video a couple years ago. We have the proof. The so-called colonel is a CIA agent. Yeah, because the CIA puts all its operatives on social media where everybody knows who they are. And the CIA spends all its time promoting minorities and promoting people of color and promoting language and culture because that's what they're so good at. Yeah, people give the CIA a little too much credit. Now, in the interest of full disclosure, for those who know, I was a serving intelligence officer in the United States Army for 3 decades. And I worked with the CIA and at the Defense Intelligence Agency and with almost every U.S. intelligence agency and with foreign intelligence agencies around the world to counterterrorism, counterintelligence, was intelligence analyst, wrote for the President of the United States, intelligence briefs. So deeply enmeshed in the intelligence community. But that has absolutely nothing to do with this broadcast or with what I do now in my affectation, my post-Army life, with the exception that the skills that I developed and learned while serving, I apply to every day. One says, Dit was befolk. What is? Can't believe my daughter's 15, says Charles. That was earlier. I saw that. Mike has a Chinese bug in it. It might. Are you guys picking up a pop right now? Okay. Evie, Vera, hello. Vira? I don't know what that means. It's jumping at me. Freya Menzel's here. Sedgefield's back. Marilyn Brokenshaw. Mr. Spot and I. Great job, Chris. Please keep this exposing the ANC. Pray that whatever actions be directed to the individuals. Yeah, look, Mr. Spot, I don't expose just the ANC. I expose all hypocrites. I've exposed the Democratic Alliance, who's been behaving hypocritically since they joined the Government of National Unity. I expose Action SA, whose leader seems to have, I don't know what's happened to Herman Mashaba, if he got dunked in a vat of craziness. Gareth Jones, welcome, Gareth. I don't know what's happened to Herman Mashaba. He's really gone off the deep end. He just did it again. He's attacking Ernst von Sale, calling him a treasonous person. No, he's not a treasonous person. It's unbelievable what's going on there. And of course, I call out MK because I know what they are, and EFF all along. So, and if people misbehave, I will call them out. I've called out Trump when he's misbehaved. My president hasn't done everything perfectly. I've already had 2 instances in which he's done things that we disagree. But given the fact he's had about 900 actions and 2 have been questionable, that's a pretty good track record. By the way, the USAID is going to be obliterated. Wow. And the left is right. It's illegal. It's unconstitutional. He's an imperial president. He's a fascist. No. USAID is not in the Constitution. Nowhere in this document does it say we have to have a agency for national development. John Goodwin, welcome to you. Nowhere in this document does it say that. Nowhere. It's not in there. And nowhere in public law does it say that. Only in an executive order issued and promulgated by John Fitzgerald Kennedy in 1960s. Yeah, 6 decades ago. So before I was born. Kennedy created the Agency for National Development. And so it was born before me and it will die before me. Yes. Look, AID did some wonderful things back in the day, but they've gone off the rails. They're out of control. George Bush Jr. tried to rein them in, and it didn't work very well. I was working in embassies in Africa when this period took place, the transition of AID being an independent actor doing what they wanted to being forced to submit to the State Department, and they refused to do it. They pulled away, and the State Department tried to pull them back because that was their mandate. And they've gotten out here now, and they just do what they want, giving story time trans coloring books to Peruvian school children. We're paying for that. We're paying for gender diversity training for Serbia. What the hell does that have to do with America? And how does that improve the lives of people in Serbia or in Peru? Maybe if you were helping with school feeding programs or, conservation or agricultural development or industrial and financial. Yeah, but no, that's not what we're doing. We're doing all kinds of stuff. So they have not learned their lesson, and they're going to go the way of the dodo. They will be like a bird that used to exist in Mauritius, which is gone. By the way, apparently it tasted horrible, but they ate them anyway. They're eating the dogs. They're eating the cats. They're eating the pets. Perfect double bluff. Okay, Colonel, what is your view on the Hull group that South Africa is now part of? They formed in January. The Hull group? All right, well, I'm going to have to profess ignorance there. Profess ignorance in that. It's a printing company in the UK. HAU Jow Group. I'm not familiar with that. I have to profess ignorance there. Sorry, I missed that. Was that Tony's membership? I'm sorry. Sorry, Tony, if I missed that. I'm so sorry I missed that, Tony. I was looking over there. It's me against back again. And Greg says, okay, that was Greg. Garrett is here from Somerset West. And sorry, but again, Tony, I missed your membership, but I've got it before. So Baba Tokoladi says, your Department of Education feeds millions of kids. Without it, kids will starve. Whose Department of Education? My Department of Education? No. The school lunch program feeds it. That's just money. The Department of Education doesn't do anything. The schools feed the students. I know. I was a recipient of free school lunches because I lived in poverty. So if you're talking to me, which I assume you are, Baba Tokolada, you are factually incorrect. You go back and check your facts. Are you talking about South Africa's Department of Education? I don't think they feed kids. AfriForum sucks. They are just cannon fodder for those who are really doing something. If you say so. Going back and forth between Colonel Wyatt and RFK vote. Oh, yeah. Are they voting on him now? Oh, I didn't know the vote was ongoing. Let's see if that's going on now. I'll bring it up here. Yeah, it's RFK vote is going on right now.
Everything is too expensive.
Adverts, YouTube adverts. Let me jump to that. I didn't realize it was going on now. I knew that it was coming up. Thought it was later today. So let's see.
In the nation. It handles a broad scope of civil.
Okay, it's not the vote. It's just testimony right now. We'll come back when they're actually voting. Yeah, they're still yakking. Exactly, Beth. When the vote comes up, I'll put it on the screen and we'll watch the vote unfold. Yeah, I look up the Hague group there, Zachary Joubert. I'm not finding anything, so please somebody tell me where to find this and what is this Hague group you're talking about? Somerset West. Is that what SSW is supposed to be, Freya Menzel? All right, the Dems are still yakking. Yes, they are. All right, I think I'm caught up in the chat. I apologize for missing folks. I miss Stefan Fari. Low IQ boys have... Kindergarten cop. Boys have penises, girls have vaginas. Kindergarten cop. It's so funny. USA has appropriate compensation laws. How can they judge South Africa? No, you're a liar. You're factually, if you're going to troll Baba, then you're going to get spanked and blocked. I'll tell you that now. We're not going to put up with bullshit tonight. USA does not have expropriation without compensation laws. You're misinformed, or you're just a troll. USA has eminent domain. You must compensate people. Now, what I will say is that I will not deny that officials at state level have misused eminent domain to defraud people of their land. They've paid them, but they've taken land they never should have had, claiming it was in the public interest. But there's no such thing as eminent domain. See, you're okay. Well, maybe you're not trolling. You need to look up eminent domain there, Baba Choklodi, because eminent domain must include compensation. No one can take your land in America without just compensation. Again, as I said, I will not deny, because where my aunt lived in Bridgeport, Connecticut, several years ago, about 20 or 30 years ago, Democrats used eminent domain to confiscate the homes of people who lived there for 180, 200 years. Their families had lived there along the coast in Bridgeport, Connecticut. And they stole their homes. They paid them, but they had to move. And most of them couldn't afford a home with the money they were paid. They had to buy something smaller. And it devastated communities to build a casino and a shopping mall because it was in the public interest. No, it was in the interest of the shopping mall owners and the casino owners. That's who it was interested. It wasn't the interest of people who live there. It was not in the public interest. So yes, it can be abused, but you're factually wrong. No one gets their land confiscated without compensation in America. It's not the same. And so what? So what? Let's say America had it, which we don't. Let's pretend we had it. So what? What does that have to do with South Africa? Oh, you're going to go, oh, well, the United States shouldn't say anything about South Africa. You've never heard him speak. Don't play whataboutism. Yeah, look, you need to talk to Cyril, the jackass penguin. You'll get a conversation with Cyril, because that's just dumb. I mean, whataboutism. Who cares about ism? It doesn't matter. We're not talking about what the USA is doing. We're talking about what South Africa is doing right now. And what the ANC is doing is unconstitutional. Section 25 of the South African Constitution requires just and equitable compensation when land is expropriated in the public interest and for a public purpose. So you can already do it. South Africa's already expropriated land. 3.9 million hectares of land have been expropriated or purchased by the government of South Africa in the past decades under ANC rule. 3.9 million hectares. 3.9 million hectares. Yeah. 29 billion rand has been spent acquiring land in South Africa. And almost none of it has been turned to productive use. Very little of it. And the few hectares that have been used for public, have been used for good, have been because of commercial farmers helping those aspiring new farmers. Tony Nage, $25 Canadian. Tim Pool read my super chat for 45,000 live viewers last night. Brief discussion average. Tim Pool got married. I'm a big fan. Oh, that's congratulations, Tony. That's awesome. They read your super chat. But you didn't mention me, huh? Damn. I like the $5 super chat, but I would have preferred that you pimp me on his channel. Charmaine says, who did I offend when my comments get removed? You didn't offend anybody. Nobody removed your comments. What are you talking about? There's not a single comment removed here. Charmaine, if you said something, YouTube blocked it before it ever got to my channel. There are no blocked comments from anybody here, including the gentleman who's talking about the expropriation, eminent domain in America. No one's blocked. I'm looking here. None of my moderators have blocked anybody. Not a single person. Not a single person. That would be YouTube. That's YouTube censorship. I have no control over that. All right, back here. So, it's me again. How can they judge that? Well, how can we judge that? Because we can. How do you judge me? Well, people judge me all the time. That's their prerogative. Doesn't make them right. Doesn't make them wrong. South Africa judges this all the time. We've heard Cyril. I mean, hey, we've heard Cyril running his mouth, flapping his jaws. Remember this? Yeah, this is a pretty famous one. Yeah, let's get to this really quickly here. Let me find Cyril. Oh, Cyril. Oh, Cyril. Flapping his jaws. What the hell? Why is that doing? View extra large icons. That's what I want. Cyril. Where's it at here, man? Oh, I'm in the wrong folder. That's why. Ha, ha, ha. There we go. Now I'm in the right folder. See, I'm Russian here, folks. You got to take your time. I'm actually Estonian, not Russian. Okay, so here we go. Here's Cyril.
And we've been saying, over this issue of the land,
yes,
this issue that Donald Trump fears so much.
Whoa.
Over this question of the land, I don't know what Donald Trump has to do with South African land.
Not a whole lot. And what do you have to do with my tax dollars? Why must I give you my money from my wallet to pay for your sexual behavior, buying condoms and providing antiretrovirals? You know what? I don't. And I don't have to give you duty-free access to my marketplace when you charge 75% tariffs for poultry when I own shares in Tyson Chicken, making my chicken too expensive to export to South Africa. So I don't know what he has to do with land in South Africa. And I don't know what South Africa has to do with our foreign aid. It's none of your business. None of your business, Cyril. But let's continue listening to Mynheer Pala Pala.
Because it's never been here.
No!
And he must keep his America. We will keep
our South Africa.
That's what he must do.
Away, Amandla!
Africa is our land. South Africa belongs to all the people who live here.
Except minorities,
in South Africa.
whites, Indians, and colors.
It does not belong to Donald Trump.
No, not to Donald Trump. No.
And
Oh, vuvuzelas. People getting spit all over them there. Ugh, gross. Yeah. Oh, Donald Trump. Donald Trump. Yeah. Tack Rick. Penguins have better leadership skills. Yeah, they do all right. All right. Congratulations again, Tony, for Tim Pool reading your, it's kind of cool. I know when people have a lot of followers and they retweet your stuff. So Alfred Carbonara retweeted my, my video about Donald Trump last week that got everything going. And I got a lot of external views. About half the views came in were external, and I think it's because of that tweet and a couple others. So thank you for that. And then, last year when I was in Port Elizabeth and I was fixing potholes, Gareth Cliff, who watches my Twitter account, I didn't realize that. Gareth Cliff retweeted my photo of me, banging coal tar into the street in Port Elizabeth. And it was hilarious because I got a couple 100,000 views on my Twitter account, which I never get. And when they came there. And, of course, I got attacked as a colonialist, as those evil white South Africans. People are so stupid. I'm not South African. Toonie van Wyk says they are misused, the land they bought. Okay. Valerie Bursch-Zietzman. Wow, that's an interesting name. Okay. It is without compensation when the landowners are unreasonable. No. Okay, so Baba. Okay, Baba, you're not trolling. You're asking real questions. Okay, I'm gonna go along with this. So thank you for being here. Thank you for subscribing. Thank you for your comments. Actually, I liked them. I just want to make sure you weren't being a troll because we have people have Tottenham self-pleasuring, masturbating lunatic. Tottenham's finest was coming in here and pretended he was actually commenting, and we played along. But he, in the end, was just a racist piece of slime, and we had to send him packing. So Baba, it's without compensation when the landowners are unreasonable. Who says the landowners are unreasonable? And where are you getting that from? What's your determination? You see, there's no such language in the document, in the law. The act does not say when people are unreasonable. It says when the state decides. That's what the law says. And I will quote for you, and I will show you. Because you see, unlike most of these people that are on social media that claim to know what the hell they're talking about, most of them can't wake their way out of a wet paper bag. They don't know what they're talking about, these commentators and analysts. They don't actually read things. They don't actually analyze things. They have no experience in the things they're talking about. When you come here, you actually get that. So let's talk about the actual expropriation without compensation law that's been promulgated and instituted by Cyril Ramaphosa. Here you go. So, Chapter 5 of that law, determination of compensation. In determining the amount of compensation to be paid in terms of this act, the expropriating authority must not, unless there are special circumstances in which it would be just and equitable to do so, take account of the fact that the property has been taken without the consent of the owner or holder of the right. Now, special suitability or usefulness of property for the purpose of which it's required by the expropriating authority if it's unlikely the property would have been purchased for that purpose on the open market. So we go down here, and this is... It may be just and equitable for zero compensation, nil compensation to be paid where land is expropriated in the public interest, having regard to all relevant circumstances, including but not limited to where the land is not being used and the owner's main purpose is not to develop the land or use it to generate income, but to benefit from appreciation of its market value. Who are you as a unelected, because nobody in Parliament's elected. Let's get that straight. South Africa's not a democratic state. Well, you're a democratic state. No, you're not. Nobody votes for Cyril Ramaphosa. Nobody votes for John Steenhuisen. Nobody votes for Velonkosi Halabisa or Peter Groenewald or Bantu Holomisa. You are forced to vote for a political party who then chooses who the candidates are. You have no say whatsoever in who they are. You don't get to pick Tembe Simelane. Only the corrupt ANC got to pick Tembe Simelane. Not you. So they appoint these people to Parliament. And then they can unappoint him. Look at Ronaldo Cruz. Did Ronaldo Cruz commit a crime? No. Did Ronaldo Cruz, was he guilty of theft from Parliament? No. Was he guilty of any crime in Parliament? No. So he was removed illegitimately by his political party because your corrupt system allows that. It's one thing to have a parliamentary system. It's quite another to have a parliamentary system in which the voters don't even get to select the people are voting for. At least in the UK, it's a parliamentary system, but you get to vote for the candidate. You don't get to vote for the candidate in South Africa. That's nonsense. So those unelected people, they get to decide who's not using land. Land is disused. This is all bullshit. You have to read the law. You have to read the law, Baba. You have to understand the law. The law is very clear. When a court or arbitrator, who's the arbitrator? Who picks the arbitrator? And by the way, the government gives you notice you have 30 days to respond. What if you're in a hospital? What if you went abroad because your daughter was ill or had a baby in Perth? Or you had to go abroad for business for 2 or 3 months, or you're studying abroad. You inherit land, you lease it out for farming, and then you let it go fallow for a year. You're in university. And they come and say, well, it's been fallow for you. No one's using the land. So they drop a letter, give you 30 days. You must respond multiple things, multiple fashions. It's spelled out in the law. It's unreasonable. 30 days is bullshit to tell someone to respond. It's like here in Pennsylvania, I get a notice from the freaking Turnpike Commission. Here's your toll. You must pay it by tomorrow. And then the date on it's from 3 weeks ago. They didn't mail it. The stamp on the envelope says 2 days ago. They sit on it for 3 weeks so that I get a late fee. Now, I've successfully fought the late fees. And then other times I get the damn bill a day after I go through the toll. Oh, this is due in 3 weeks. It's nonsense. Where the land is not being used, the owner's main purpose. And who is the government to tell me I can't buy something for appreciation? People buy Krugerrands so they appreciate in value. People buy stocks so they appreciate in value. People buy homes to live in and so they appreciate in value. People buy classic cars so they appreciate in value. People buy land so it appreciates in value. It is not on the government to decide who gets to invest and who gets to have things. That's communism. That's socialism. It's bankrupt. It's stupid. It's idiotic. And it's morally unacceptable. You see, you get the truth here. You don't have to like the truth. But you see, some people, you can't handle the truth. That's not directed at Baba. According to a paper I read today, 30% of land has been transferred like they planned. Quotas have been met already. I don't know the total figure that they plan offhand, and I'm not going to try to make a claim about it. But you're right. A lot of land has already been transferred. 29.9 million hectares of land have been transferred from previous owners to new owners or the government. Much of that land still sits in the government's hands. But the government provides no extension services, no credit, no training facilities, no agronomists to help these people, and they just flounder. They put it out, they do nothing. They do nothing. On top of that, land transfer, Ludwig de Bundel. So thank you for subscribing. Not only is nearly 30 million hectares of land been transferred from private owners to the government and then some of it onto aspiring farmers and such. Not only that, and wait, thank you for subscribing. Not only has that happened, but 74,000 plus land claims were settled from the 1995-1999 period. So most land claims are long ago settled. The 142,000 or 141,000 that came as a consequence of Jacob Zuma's illegitimate second window and second bite at the apple land claims were bogus and illegitimate. Almost none of them were any validity to them. So we will go with the 95-99 because that was a legitimate period. And in that period, almost all have been settled. So the land claims have been settled. 30 million hectares have been transferred, and we're still hearing about this land bullshit. And whites own all the land. I saw this the other day on my thing. Whites own 90%, blacks are 90% of the population. Factually incorrect. Black South Africans represent 80% of the population, not 90%. And whites own 90% of the land. Factually untrue. Whites own less than 70%, probably less than 60% of farmland at this point. And white farmers were only barely a majority of farm owners in 2017 at the land audit. Now, they own more hectares, far more hectares than anyone else, but those numbers have been declining. So I don't know the current status, and the government refuses to do another land audit, which is overdue, so that people know who actually owns the land. You're going to find that there were 72,000 white commercial farmers in South Africa in 1994, and today it's more like 24,000. By the way, white farm owners represent less than 2% of the total white population of South Africa. And as a percentage of the population of South Africa, they're 0.002, 200ths of a percent of South Africans who are white landowners. It's ridiculous. All right, back to where we're at. So, what I miss here? Somebody said something. The biggest problem with the land distribution is that the ANC have been sitting on it instead of redistributing. Exactly. Well, and they've not been for exactly. The government should not own anything. We're not slaves. Exactly. Marlisha, Sylvian Valeria, welcome to you. Marlisha, there are already people taking land, so it's not what you wanted to say. So if it's not what you wanted to say, the people taking land did not understand him. Marlisha, are you talking to me? I don't understand what you're saying. There are people taking. There's always been people taking land. This isn't new. Let's get this straight. Illegal occupation or squatting on land has been going on forever. It happened under the apartheid regime, but they usually went out and knocked heads and removed people pretty quickly. But since 1994, the ANC has consistently removed people who have illegally squatted on land most of the time, especially when it's on state land. They don't tolerate that. This is our land. Red ants. Red ants run out and beat people over the head with truncheons and, and chase them off and steal their land and rob money and cell phones out of their pockets. Mornay Vandenberg. Is that Mornay Vandenberg who plays rugby for the Lions? Welcome, Mornay. You're most welcome to join us. They use the red ants. Joburg Metro Police beat people up. But since COVID, after the initial stage of COVID, that's really slowed down quite a bit. And now we've seen it in Shishego, in Limpopo province, suburb of Polokwane, where people have illegally squatted and occupied land, claiming, we don't know who the land belongs to. It's laying fallow. We are following the law. Cyril gave us permission. We are expropriating this land. And we're confident that the council will come behind us and will agree with us and provide services like streets and running water and electricity and security and schools and clinics. You see the can of worms you open up with that nonsense? Donna Bloom says, it sickens me the DA is not contesting this. They are proving to be ANC's lapdog. One of your previous videos, you mentioned how this extends ultimately to things. Yes, Don. Is it Don? Or Don A? Don, I'm sorry. I can't see very clearly. The avatar's like this big. So I don't know if I'm talking to a lady or a dude. I can't look at. I'm sorry. You're so tiny. All I see is like a little face, just barely. Anyway, but it's property, and it says so right in the Constitution, ladies and gentlemen. This is not news. I've been telling people this for years. Unfortunately, most people have not seen me because of YouTube's previous censorship, although somehow we've broken through that for the moment. Let's hope that continues. But I will bring it up on the screen for you again, exactly the language of the Constitution. I don't make any of this stuff up. Am I in the right place? I'm in the wrong place. Hang on a second. Documents. Let me get back to the right place. Okay, there we go. I'm in the right place now. So I got to find it. So I've got so much production I do here, so many places where I store documents and graphics and files and such that sometimes I get a little bit lost in the swamp here. Okay, where the heck's it at? Come on, it's got to be coming up soon. No, it was after that. Okay, something's not right here. I'm going too fast. Should have been before this. There we go. I must have added a file. It threw me off. Oh, here we go. So this is in a lot of my videos now. It's become a standard slide that I'm using. So this is what the Constitution says about expropriation. This is why expropriation without compensation law was wholly unnecessary, because it's allowed for. As Baba was saying, it's in America we have eminent domain, and in South Africa you have expropriation with compensation. It's clear there. There's no need. The government's bought plenty of land and hasn't even distributed. This is all about destroying an ethnic group and dividing people on race. And so you've got black South Africans, not all, just a small number, black South Africans who are claiming that whites are denying them wealth, that they've prevented them from getting wealthy. No, the ANC has done that to you. There are millions of South Africans living in Reconstruction Development Program, RDP houses built by the government. Grass owed the taxpayer who gave the money to the government. They built homes for poor black South Africans, not for white South Africans. I think some colors live in them, but mostly black South Africans live in the RDP houses. Millions of people living in these houses. They're not very good, but they all come with a little plot of land. They come with a little house, but the government retains the title deed. It's mine. It's mine. It's all mine. Now, why would the ANC government retain the title deed to an RDP house? Why? To keep you subservient. Because if you don't own the house, you're just occupying it, they can remove you at any time. If you own the house, they have to go through a legal process. You must have broken a law. It must go to a court. But if you're just there because the chief said you could be there, which is kind of an African tradition, the chief gave you permission, which is not how life works in the 21st century, then they can kick you out at any time. Take the land away from you, just like the Zulus who have land taken away from them in the Inganyama Trust when the chief gets angry at them. Nope, piss off. You can't use the land anymore. We take your house. Billions of dollars, not rand, billions of dollars. And I have no idea how much. I'd have to sit down and calculate it, and it's all based, so I can only speculate how much it is. But we're talking about billions and billions and billions of US dollars in dead capital. Money that could be leveraged to make loans, that could be used to borrow money to start tuck shops and spaza shops and businesses and application makers and buy computers. All of that's dead capital because ANC wants compliant, illiterate, poorly informed voters who can't think for themselves. We want informed people, black, white, and brown people. We want informed people here. So here you go. This is what the Constitution says, folks, right here. Section 25. This was promulgated and introduced by a majority black government and in force since 1996. No one may be deprived of property except in terms of law. Property may be expropriated only in terms of law for a public purpose or in the public interest, which is what the new law also says, and is subject to compensation. The amount of compensation must be just and equitable. And to answer her question specifically, or his question at the bottom, property is not limited to land. Property is not limited to land. Your pension funds, your insurance schemes, your car, your bucky, your jewelry, your Krugerrands, your stocks, your bonds, your house, your flat, all of that is subject to confiscation or expropriation if you prefer. Yep, with no compensation. How do you compensate someone when you take their pension? All right, so I don't have any rand here. I've got them tucked away somewhere in a tin jar out in the backyard. Anyway, so we'll go with dollars. Erebus 169. So how do you compensate someone? Let's see. Your pension fund is worth 100 rand, 200 rand, 300 rand, 400 rand, 500 rand. Okay, 500 rand. Okay, now under the current law, which is the Constitution, you must compensate me for that. Okay, so if you're going to compensate me for 500 rand, it has to be just and equitable. The only way to do that is either give me more money or give me back the same money you just took. So you see why the Constitution is an impediment on the ANC stealing from you at the moment. And the expropriation without compensation law was passed so that they can steal from you legally. So now if they come and say, we need your pension funds, okay, it's for public purpose, you need to build a school, I get it, okay. So there's 500 rand. Now it has to be just compensation. Well, the only just compensation for 500 rand is 500 rand. So nothing is accomplished. However, if the government can confiscate your property for a public purpose in the public interest, like your pension funds, because the government doesn't have enough money, revenue has been becoming in the evil white racist at the IMF and the World Bank and in Washington and London have kept us from getting our hands on loans and credits. We must take it from the pension funds to build the highway. Never mind the fact that 3 billion rand was put in some BEE tender's pocket, was never built in the first place. But let's just go with that, okay? So now you take the money. And you can do it in the public interest. You just take it. You just take it. That's what's going on here, folks. Pay attention. Peter says, calm down. You're Papa Vane. Peter, you are obviously new to the channel. Calm? This is very calm. Yeah, we bought a house investment. That's what Richard said. Yep. All right. Please, can you elaborate on how the government can extend this to things other than property? Very simple right there. It's in the Constitution. They don't even need this law to do it. They could already do it. Before this law was passed, they could take your property. Land is not the only form of property. The Constitution says so. And the Constitution's right. It's right. It's right. Cyril, my jackass penguin, is property. He belongs to me. Right here, Cyril. He belongs to me. If it's in the public interest and for a public purpose, I don't know, like start a stuffed penguin museum, the government could take him. But then they have to give me some rand. It's already in the law. It's already in the law. So I hope I explained that. Is it Donnie? I think it's Donnie Bloom. Sorry. Christian Kurtz says, as they say, follow the money. Yep, free land for minerals to export. Their Davos friends. Caroline says they get raises and taxes on the land you buy. It's got nothing to do with. Sorry, I didn't catch what that was. Come back up here. Come back here. It's chat zipping ahead on me. Penguin. There's a penguin who signed up. That's funny. Okay. Build a home, work the land, feed my family. I'm reading up on agriculture. We are willing to learn to build a future. Oh, Baba, are you an aspiring farmer? Baba Tokulade, are you an aspiring farmer? I was a farmer once. I'm not sure why you want to be a farmer. Do you have an attachment to the land? Do you find the land special? I mean, it's not an abusive conversation. I'm asking a legitimate question. What's the appeal? Is it because you have no other options? Is it because you think land is the path to wealth? It's not. Unless you're Bill Gates or you're Ted Turner, you can buy millions of hectares. It's not the path to success and wealth. It's not. Land gets taxed. It costs you a fortune. I mean, I pay, my house is not worth that much, and I pay about 200,000 Rand a year in property taxes just to own the home. If I don't pay that, they confiscate my house for failure to pay taxes. That money goes to the school district and to repair the roads. And the road is shit. It looks like South Africa out here. The road outside my community is full of potholes. I've already damaged my suspension on it. It's unbelievable. Yeah. So anyway, so I'm curious, Bob, why if you want to be a farmer, that's cool. It's a hard life, and I wish you luck. And maybe we can help you. If you want to be a farmer, Bob, maybe we can put you in touch with people if you're serious about it. When I was in Uganda, I helped my gardener who was serious about starting a gardening business. He didn't have any skills as a gardener, but he couldn't find work. And somebody in the embassy hired him one day when they saw him, and he was an honest guy, worked hard. He learned his skills, he taught himself, but he was still learning how to be a gardener. But I needed somebody just to cut the grass and prune the bushes, but he wanted to learn more. So he showed an earnest interest in it. And I, through Amazon, ordered books on how to run a gardening business and different varieties of African plants and things and seasonals and he could do and settings and, how ways to run a business. And I ordered him several of these books and I gave them to him. And he was voracious. He just read them all. I could see it because when he was on break, he'd bring them with me in his backpack. He'd come to the house, the property. And when he took a break, I could see him out there, drinking his water and eating a sandwich, whatever, and going through it and his fingerprints all over the book where he'd be thumbnailing it. And he did that. So when I left Uganda, I gave him as a reward a bonus for the work that he did for me. And I don't like hiring domestics, but this guy was a really good guy. I gave him a bonus, the equivalent of, as I recall, about a small fortune in Uganda. It was $1,500, $2,000 US equivalent in Ugandan shillings. And he was like over the moon. And what I did is I didn't give it to him all at once. I gave him half of it before I left, a few months before I left, and then looked to see if he actually used it. And in fact, he did use the money. He bought some garden implements and some tools with it and new stuff. I could tell he didn't buy broken stuff, and I didn't tell him to do it. And he came back and he briefed me on his business plan. And then when I left, he didn't know he was getting more. I gave him more money, and he started a business. So yeah, it's great to teach a man how to fish. It really is. It's great to help a man learn how to fish. We all need a hand up from time to time. Freya, welcome. Okay, what else we got here? RDP tenders will get looted. Yeah. The government has land earmarked for RDP houses intended for low-income families. Hein DeWitt, Scoop, SOS, Marco Rubio said in Fox today, Cuba just joined a partnership with South Africa to support Hamas. What? Okay, well, thank you for that, Hein DeWitt. I'll have to check into that. Let me check and see what's going on with the... Did they already do the vote? Is it over? What's going on? It looks like it's over. Or Fox is just... Okay, here we go. The Hill. It's happening now. Let's see. And then Christopher Shepard just became a subscriber. Thank you for that. Excuse me. All right. Okay, well, they're not voting. Or did they vote? What's going on? Nothing.
Mr. Schmidt.
There's nobody in the Senate.
Mr. Schumer.
They're not
Mr.
showing
Scott
up.
of Florida.
There's
Mr.
nobody in the
Scott.
Senate. What the hell is this? What kind of vote is this? Look at this. There's nobody there. Are they skipping the vote?
Mr. Sheehy.
What the hell's going on? Did they vote by proxy? All right, I don't know what's going on. Let's go to we'll go to Google's news and see if the stories broke about whether RFK was confirmed or not. Oh, this is advancing his nomination. Okay, so they advanced it. All right, so it hasn't gone to the floor. You're confusing me here. It was not on the floor. I didn't think it was time for that yet. It hasn't gone on the floor yet. So they haven't had a vote on. Thanks for the scoop on Marco Rubio. We'll check on that. Cheryl says, oh, yes, also like the front pick. It gave me an idea to hit the road with all this expropriation. There are cases where foreigners or unqualified government officials own multiple RDP houses. Yeah, there's a problem there. Thank you for the heads up there, Hein. LT and Game is back. As a black person, I got so tired of the victim narrative, blame whites and everything. Well, there you go, Ngema. And you know what? People shouldn't blame other people for their failures unless those people are complicit. I mean, let's just put things in perspective here. The Jan van Riebeck, the apartheid, the colonialism, the land theft, the dispossession, it's all so tired. First off, because a lot of it's simply untrue. It's distorted history. People ignore the fact that the Nguni speakers who came to Southern Africa weren't from there, just like my ancestors weren't from North America. They were from Europe, and before that from the Middle East, and before that Africa, according to evolution. But anyway, but certainly from Europe. But the Nguni-speaking peoples only arrived in Southern Africa about 1,600 years ago after crossing the Zambezi, coming down the Rift Valley, and then moving on across the Limpopo River and displacing the Khoi and San, initially in what is today Zimbabwe, particularly in Matabeleland, pushing them aside, or they fled because they were larger groups and more competitive and more combative, and then worked their way south and spread through and around the Drakensberg Mountains and then down towards the Fish River before Europeans arrived. So, you know, it's, if we're going to talk this nonsense about stolen land, you know, we can go back 1,600 years. It's like Israel. The Jews were there first, before the Gazans, before the Arabs. They were there first. They're all Semitic people. The whole thing is ridiculous anyway. But yeah, so I appreciate what you say there, Ngema, and playing the victim mentality. It's like the problem. Here, let me just put this in perspective for everybody that's here. 313 people currently here right now. Be sure to hit the like button, folks, if you don't mind.
That was easy.
Piece of cake. Anyway, so let me put this in perspective here. So why are black Americans earning less than Asian Americans or white Americans or Pacific Islander Americans or anyone else? That's the question. And people say it's racism. It's systemic racism. America's a racist society. The black man is held down. Oh. Actually, it's quite the opposite. For 50 years, the black man has been held up and promoted above everybody else. Only 7% of the officers in the U.S. Army are black, but 18% of the generals are black. Now, how does that happen? That means that they are represented at almost 300% of their actual total in the population. That's just BS. That only happens because of DEI. That doesn't mean there aren't good black officers, but all things being equal, if 7% of the officers are black, then 7% of the generals ought to be black. If 12% of the officers are women, then 12% ought to be women. I'm not asking for quotas. I'm just saying the odds are that nobody is so good that they get promoted at a rate 300% better than anybody else. It just doesn't happen. So the reason black Americans are held back in America historically was because of Jim Crow, because of racism, because of discrimination. Absolutely true. And I'm not telling you that racism and discrimination do not exist today. They will always exist as long as human communities exist, because humans are shit. People are shit. People are terrible. Most of us aren't, but some are. And they'll always mistreat others. They'll always look at the other. Gay, straight, black, white, brown, blue, ooh, Christian, Muslim, Jew. Ooh. People will always do that. It's a natural human thing. Doesn't make it right, but it's real. So it'll always be there. But the reason many black Americans are held back today is because of, wait for it. Are you ready for this? Are you ready for this? Are you ready for this? Because of black Americans. Yeah. The culture of victimization, victimhood that has been spewed and indoctrinated and inculcated into generations of black Americans, and co-committing with that, occurring at the same time, was this abandonment of morality. If you go back to the 1930s, before the Democrats stole the black vote from Republicans by giving them handouts, even though they didn't really give them, they pretended they gave them to, with Social Security and such. Neo Rowdy, thanks. If you go back to the 1930s, before the 1930s, black Americans were largely deeply faithful. Excuse me, I got to take this. Hello?
This is the DoD Alert Mass Notification System. Press 1 now. Here is your message. If you are receiving this message, both files still reflect to your work location as building 120
Blah, blah.
now vacant. Please update your building location to reflect your current workload.
Okay. That's the alert system from the Department of Defense telling me my building is vacant. That's because they're tearing it down. My old office has been replaced by a new building that was built about a year ago. That's the Department of Defense alert system. Anyway, so going on at the same time as this victimhood was also the lack of morality. You go back to the 1920s, and black families were religious. You respected your elders, your parents, and they were communities that were tightly knit. Jump forward to the 2000s, and 78% of black children are born illegitimately in this country. In Denmark, over half the children are born illegitimately too, but the couples cohabitate. They don't get married, but they live together and they have a relationship. So two parents raise the child. But in black families and in families of mixed race, often where the mother is white, those children are raised by a single parent, typically a woman, and discipline is out the window. And this is a major reason why black communities are held back, not because the system is systemically racist, but because culture is broken in the black community. You're racist! No, anthropologist, statement of fact. All right. Okay, Hein. Okay, that's it. You're spamming my chat. Stop spamming my chat, okay? Thank you, LT. The Ingenioma Trust owns 2.8 million hectares of land. That's what it owns. Yep. Tuni von Vijk, Cyril knows how to hide dollars. He does in his couch. Jimbo Schleiss says the ANC deliberately keep the poor downtrodden. Yep, so they can remain in power and keep people who depend on them. It is true. It is true. Blacks can hate me for saying this, but the ANC wants whites out because they're the only thing standing between the ANC and turning South Africa. Well, no, it's the whites serve a purpose for the ANC. They're a convenient whipping boy, and most whites just roll over and take it. Mythbalas said, I bought 500 square kilometers of land from a black person less than a year ago for peanuts. I'm grateful towards the ANC for making land so cheap. I'm a dishwasher in the Netherlands. I know what you're talking about there. All right, look, Hein, I'm going to block you if you keep spamming my chat. We don't create new pies. We only divide the current pie. Yeah, well, a rising tide does lift all boats. Zimbabwe says, Tack Rick. If the thieves want so badly property without bloodshed, why don't they ask people who are prepared to part with the property? That's a good start. That's the person who signed up. I became a member. I saw Joritha Haman says, I'm a white South African, can't afford to buy property. Would I, in your opinion, also qualify to get land? I also want to build a house and work. Well, you should, but... Oh, you're asking Baba. I don't pick on Baba. Baba has no say in that. So, our South African Park Board has no problem buying land to expand conservation. Exactly, Nick. It's right. The only problem is they don't. Okay. And then Tony says 100%. Richard Kuhn. Okay. Baba says, you judge me based on my worst black people. No. Okay. Pablo Charlie, stop judging people. The same thing happens the other way. So let's not judge people who are in the chat. Let's treat people with respect. Trust that Trump will not be fooled. I hope he's not fooled. Saw someone somewhere showing the act, but it was being edited as land instead of property, and they tried to act as if it's not edited. Then they stated it only says land, not other property. It doesn't really matter. And if you owe debt on the property, exactly, if you owe debt on the property, they can take it for nothing. So they can raise the taxes and say, you haven't paid the taxes, and then they just take your land. It's a very simple process. All right, what else we got here? I'm falling behind here. They've already eluded municipal pension funds. I've heard that, but I haven't seen proof of it. Altruism, palette, knife painting. What about Article 17 of the Universal Declaration of Human Rights? Well, I've already talked about that extensively. I've talked about how this is a violation of the Universal Declaration of Human Rights, of which South Africa is a signatory. And the ANC affirmed that accession to it, even though it was signed by the old National Party. They agreed to it. They recognized that when they came in power. So, yeah, they violated human rights. No question about it. EWC is so they can take minerals. Yep. Okay, government says the world is reading the wall wrong. The land grabbers understood the same as President Trump, 33 years and billions of hard-earned dollars, funding from the whole world in 33 years. I'm not sure what you mean there, but yeah, the government is wrong. We were reading it. You saw the language. I just showed it to you. Quickshift says, I work in the U.S. and I can't even afford buying a house out there. Everything is too expensive. It's jumped on me again. Sorry, folks. Boy, I'm trying to get back to where I was. Oh my goodness, it really jumped quite a bit there. I was way behind. Beverly says, I need your email address. I need to send you something urgently. They're taking farms. I have the list. Beverly, the email is there. Hendo, can you put it up? And then I'll go to the email and see if you sent it to me, okay? I'll do that right now. I don't usually do that, but let me jump into my email and see if I get something from you, Beverly. I've got a bunch of emails from people who are finding my email here, so... okay, so for those who have sent me stuff, I apologize for not being able to what's this? Oh, people are sending me stuff. It's there. So if one of my mods could put it up, you can send it to me very quickly there. Or you can send it in the WhatsApp group if you're in the WhatsApp group. That's a quicker way to do it. Adele Visser says, for South Africa, you got 30 farms, Zuma farms. Jan Swart, thank you for subscribing. What else? Nick Green's Matthew Dixon is here. Bev says, I need your email urgently. Well, you can go in the WhatsApp group too. Are the Khoisans still camping outside the Union Building in Pretoria? Yes, but his wife just died in a tragic traffic accident a few weeks ago. Sad news. My video I published today has a video clip of the Khoisan King and myself there from a couple years ago. Crypto. Oh, if you're playing around with crypto, I'm not sure. It's not going to. South Africa have any racist laws? Yes, they do. That's correct. Trying to jump ahead here so I catch up. Bianca, Pablo Charlie. Charmaine is buffering. Well, it's not buffering here, so it must be on your end. Okay. Colonel, because only black Americans had to start from slavery in the USA. All the groups didn't. It might have something to do with it. Yeah, Bob, it has a lot to do with this, with the victimization mentality. But there were slaves in South Africa as well. Some black African slaves were brought to the Western Cape. The total number is somewhere around 72,000 people were enslaved over the course of well over a century in the Western Cape. But almost none of them were from South Africa. They were people brought in from elsewhere. So no South Africans for the most part. They became South Africans after they became slaves, and then many of them got their freedom. But American slavery, so I didn't finish that story, Baba. So the problem with the narrative about black America being systemically racist is that I know dozens and dozens of black Africans who've immigrated to America since 1990. So over the past 30 years, 35 years, a lot of black Americans have come, or a lot of black Africans have migrated here from Ghana, Nigeria, the DRC, South Africa even. And every single black person I know, and I'm not a wealthy person, but I know a lot of black Africans because people gravitate towards me because of my background, or I seek them out. Every one, there's a Zimbabwean works right down the road at an NGO. He raises money to feed starving Zimbabwean children. Yeah, he's very successful. Every one of them I know earns more than a person born in America, the average GDP. Every one of them. Every one of them. And they certainly earn a lot more than the average black American. Why? Because they're driven, they're motivated, and they don't carry this victimization cult with them that the black community leaders push on black Americans. Black Americans who emancipate themselves are the ones who succeed in this country. But those who live in misery because they're told they're victims are the ones that are trouble. Like I watched the idiotic Democratic convention or, leadership, whatever the hell they called that dance-a-thon the other day. Look up here. I am a black woman. I deserve your attention. Look at me. I'm a black woman. You must pay attention to me. Sweetheart, we don't care who you are. Sit down. You're rude. You're obnoxious. You're arrogant. The fact you're black is just another part of who you are. My goodness. Anyway. Andre Pinar, appreciate what you're doing. Thank you, Andre. Appreciate that. Please don't bring race into this program. Keep it the way Colonel tends to be. Chris, you must listen to Ian Cameron's explanation of how you can become you mean a cop in the police in record time without any military background? I'm not sure what you're saying there. I haven't heard what Ian said. Ian promised to come on my program, but he's a busy guy and hasn't. Several times now he hasn't come on. He used to come on the program, but he's gotten busy. Yeah, slavery's practiced all over the world, Nick. It's not just in Africa. Sandra Hanekom says, I'm concerned that USA is losing the support of millions of fearful people that are HIV positive. Trump's administration is losing the media war in South Africa. It really doesn't matter, Sandra. What does it matter if we lose the media war in South Africa? What's that going to do? What does it do? We were going to lose the war anyway. So we should give $500 million a year so that people don't speak ill of us. We should give away money we don't have and borrow it from taxpayers and from the Chinese and Japanese and the Brits to give money to South Africa because South Africa's government's too lazy, too busy stealing money to take care of its own people. We're not getting good press from that anyway. Let's just run through the history of the $8.1 billion. What has $8.1 billion got in the United States in the last 22 years? Okay, let's see. We got South Africa openly supporting the communist regime in Cuba. Yep. South Africa hanging out with the Palestinian Liberation Organization and supporting its decision under Yasser Arafat to reject peace overtures by the Israelis. We got South Africa cozying up to Tehran, to Beijing, to Moscow, to dictators in the Congo and elsewhere in Africa, to giving refuge to Chadian genocideers. Giving refuge to Rwandan genocideers. We have had them cozying up to Gaddafi. We have had South Africa consistently just in the past few years working against U.S. national security interests, shipping weapons and arms to Russia. The Lady R incident, denying it, doesn't prove it didn't happen. Also, every time we turn around, they're calling us names. When the United States spent tens of billions of dollars developing vaccine against a COVID scam, the United States took that risk, and we heard South African academics and politicians and other African elites running around going, they're testing the vaccines on Africans, these racist. Nothing could be further from the truth. Almost every single person that participated in the voluntary trials for those vaccines in the 7 months they were developed in Operation Warp Speed was a white American or British national who did it through AstraZeneca and through Abbott and Moderna and Pfizer, Johnson & Johnson, those companies that took the risk. And then we developed them. And then we gave the money to Aspen Pharmacare, $711 million. And meanwhile, Cyril Ramaphosa runs around the world and tries to shame us and calls us racist. Vaccine apartheid, vaccine. So we gave $8 billion to be treated like that. Then we have the biggest ever military exercise trying to work with South Africa at Nicklin in the north there, in the Northern Cape, and they agree to let 1,500 Marines come in as part of the exercise, only to back down like cowards when the media find out, oh my God, the American Marines are invading South Africa. Oh my God. They weren't invading. You invited us there. And in order to complete the exercise properly, we need a full-size unit. But no, you wusses backed out, and we can only bring like 700 Marines. At the last minute, screwing up the training for everybody because you're pussies. You're pussies. And that's what we get for the $8.1 billion. That's just the HIV. That doesn't include all the other aid we've given to South Africa, billions and billions and billions more. Not to mention the loans and grants that we facilitated by using our high percentage of the IMF voting shares and the World Bank voting shares to convince people to give money to South Africa. No. So that's what we get for it. Yeah. What else do we get for it? Yeah. We get 75% tariffs imposed on our poultry. We get tariffs imposed on all of our exports to South Africa, even though we give you duty-free access to our market and we expect nothing in return. What do we get for this? Constant railing by Adrian Basson and, Dan Corder and Cyril Ramaphosa and Rani Lamola and Angie Mocheka. Well, not so much her, but all these idiots talking about how evil America is. Then we get them attacking Israel in the International Court of Justice over a bogus genocide case over Gaza. Israel didn't attack Gaza. Hamas attacked Israel. Israel retaliated in a measured fashion after waiting 3 weeks before they started the offensive. Yeah, what's happened since then is a whole other story, but that's what Hamas brought on themselves. When did South Africa join the Gambia's genocide case against Myanmar for its genocide against Rohingya? Oh, that never happened. When did South Africa stand up for the SADC tribunal court decision that said that Mugabe's government illegally and unconstitutionally stole land from commercial farmers who had bought it legitimately in Zimbabwe? The Ben Free case. They never did that. They just looked the other way. Yeah, South Africa's government has consistently, over and over, looked the other way. Go on Twitter and look at all the vile, repulsive things that are said by South Africans about America. It's a small number of people, but it's there. We are losing the battle in the press. We were never going to win the battle in the press because the Americans don't engage in strategic communications. It pisses me off to no end. It doesn't matter what the administration is. Do you know that I was one of the top journalists at the U.S. Africa Command when I was in Africa? Because they didn't write stories on what we were doing in Africa. So as a major, as a lieutenant colonel and a major before that, I wrote stories and news stories about what was going on and what we were doing and engaging with the military and civilian community, building schools and clinics, running exercises, teaching people to respect the rule of law, how to grow economies. And AFRICOM published them. I wasn't even on their staff. They gladly did it because they didn't have any focus on it, because they didn't get strategic communications. All right. Hey, Chris Marie. Stephanie Hatzmichael. There's an advertising on our TV that says 90% of kids don't know how to use a toothbrush. Seriously? Do mention X make South Africa great again. Oh, yeah. Thank you, Hendo. I've created a community on Twitter. Let me see, where do I find my communities at here? It's somewhere. There's communities. On my browser, it's a lot harder. Making South Africa great again. Or Making South Africa great. I've created it. I've got some requests to join. My goodness. Where a member request. I'll approve those right now. Sorry. So Tony's there. Jacques Vint is there. Angie. Okay. So Keith, all of you are getting approved right now. It's there. Okay. A bunch of people getting approved right now. There's Debbie Moray. Okay. And let me go through all of them. So yeah, thank you for reminding me of that. I will make some moderators on there. Hendo will be one of them. Okay, and Hendo, you're there. So let me get the link to share it with people and give the invitation if you want to join this new group, Making South Africa Great. So on Twitter, and there are rules. Just ask people to behave themselves. Okay, how do I get people to? Here's that. Come on, invite people. Come on. Oh, there it is. Invite. Copy link. Okay, here you go. So if you want to join that group, you won't be able to get in immediately, but you'll be able to join later. It's a Twitter group, it's a Twitter community, and I've started. And I'm asking that if you join it, you just behave, okay? Pin message. There you go. Okay. Thank you, Stephanie. Adele Visser. Sean Murray says, now with the new fines coming out for solar installation, but to make it legal, you have to pay for an application. Thank you, CP Doug, for subscribing. Okay, thank you for sharing that. All right, what have I missed here while I was doing that? Ian, I understand you're frustrated, Sharon. I just think that for the past 30 years, ANC-run media have been allowed to spew whatever. Yeah, they have. And that's one reason why I do this. I started this broadcast as a means of letting people during lockdown know that I had, background in Africa. And I did prepared videos. I didn't do live streams initially because you can't do them until you have 1,000 hours or something like that. Or no, wait, I'm trying to remember how it works. Anyway, but yeah, I couldn't live stream anything. I just made videos, and I never planned to monetize, just so that people would be familiar with what my skills were. And then it turned into something completely beyond that. And then suddenly I became a journalist, and it's interesting. But yeah, so that's why I do this, to get the truth out there. And people don't have to listen to me. You can go check my facts, and I often encourage people to do that. But usually I get people come back with what they've been told, what they've heard, what they've read somewhere, what someone has said, not the facts. So I used to listen to a lot of Dan Quarter, and then his leftist views started annoying. Yeah, well, Dan Quarter's a lunatic. He likes to wear condoms on his head, and he doesn't know what he's talking about. Okay, Deborah, Trump, please invade South Africa. Now he's going to be busy invading Greenland, apparently, according to the left. I was a J&J guinea pig, and I'm fine. No, really, I'm fine. says drop in a bucket. Earl Abraham Cook says the people don't see how much America has given South Africa. The citizens didn't see the money. Yeah, of course. And that's because we failed. What did I read through yesterday? We are spending money on gender-based violence fighting in South Africa. The only thing that the ANC does about gender-based violence is every time they get caught with their hands in the cookie jar, stealing money. They have a national, they have a khutla, they have a get together, or they do a speech and gender-based violence, it's a scourge, and that's it. They do nothing about it. But we actually spend money combating gender-based violence in South Africa, the American taxpayer money. Cyril Ramaphosa just lied. He said America gives 17% of the money spent on HIV, and that's the only money South Africa gets. Thank you, Lloyd. That's a lie. I read through the list from the U.S. government published website, Matter of Public Record. It's all a matter there. You can find it elsewhere. It's all aggregated there. The $440 million the U.S. government spends, and it's very transparent. It shows you clearly that $35 million of that money, or $39 million, I think it is, was spent on administrative costs for USAID. So they spent $39 million on salaries and travel and rental cars and flights and all that stuff and conferences. So they spent $39 million. The rest of the $440 million, so $311 million went to, or $301 million, whatever it was, went to, or $401 million went to South Africa. And it wasn't all for HIV. It wasn't. So Ramaphosa just lies. He lies. Black Zimbabweans are fighting ZANU-PF. Yes, exactly. Over the farms. MAGA Viva President Trump, says Stephanie Michael. Stephanie, you're back. Beverly says, thank you so much. I know there are a lot of farm grabs. I wanted to get Chris. Okay, so did she send me the email? Nope, I've got no email. Did it go into WhatsApp? I've got a channel memberships update you should know about, according to YouTube. Well, thank you for that, YouTube. Doink, if they're declared derangement syndrome, that's what the DA problems are right now. Yeah, DA's definitely got some challenges right now. They're losing votes, shedding them like viral particles. Charmaine says, calm down. We need real news outside of South Africa propaganda. I'm not giving you propaganda, Charmaine. What are you talking about? Dan Quarter made sense at one time, but well, that must have been a very long time ago. Ever since I first heard the guy, he's a wackadoodle. I know, what's this? Just playing along. Buy some Melania Trump meme coin. No, thank you. Colgate ad on YouTube. It's one of the really irritating ones that makes me pay for a premium. Okay, dropping a bucket. Thanks for sharing that. Oh, so you're telling my kids in America don't know how to use toothbrushes. Well, I wasn't. Look, I understand it. My mic isn't off. Thanks for sharing that. Oh, so you're telling my kids in America. My mic is on, man. My mic is on. You can't fuck around on X anymore. You need to be accountable for your words. Yep. Yeah, community notes will get you. Ben, my mic is on. Colonel, okay, so Kendrick Lamar won 5 Oscars for a diss track where he calls Drake a PD. He was funny, but yeah, Bob, I don't really pay attention to Kendrick Lamar. I listen to all kinds of music. Hip hop's one of them, but a lot of these people are just disgusting. I don't listen to. Chris Wyatt, Trump suspends condom money to Gaza. So the condom money was overstated. Once again, that's inarticulate language. It was health money spent, and it could have included condoms, but it didn't. So that whole thing became a red herring. ANC only took Israel to court because Iran funded it. Correct, and I was the first to tell you that. I was the first to make that link. I said that, well, I might have been not the first, but among the first. Came to my own conclusion based on their trip there. They came back, suddenly had money to pay off their debt that they owed to the events organizer from 4 years before the previous election, and they had money to spend $20 million on their 112th anniversary birthday in Nelsprint. Steenhuisen has 2 brain cells. Okay. I have very loud words and noise in my arsenal, but ultimately, even though I don't agree with everything you say, you're a good man. Okay, well, Myth Ballas, you're welcome to disagree with me, and if you're reasonable and not acting like a troll, you're welcome to share it. There's nothing wrong with sharing it. We encourage cogent conversation here, but people are leaving left and right. What's going on? Is Ronaldo on? Or did somebody else come on? Did Citizen Concern start live streaming? Trump is incorporating Greenland with the USA and taking it back. I don't know about that, Sandra. We'll see. Much respect for you and all your commentary, says John von Rensburg. Thank you for that. Worrell says, the whole thing makes me wonder who they owe money to now that they're looking to collect. Exactly. Will you be watching the Sona live? Yes, I will. It's on the 6th of February, correct? So in 2 days, today is Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursday. I'll be watching Sona. Yep, I'll be broadcasting it live, and you'll be able to listen to me and my biting commentary. So let me warn you in advance, okay? When I post a link to an upcoming live stream for a speech or presentation, and it says live commentary and analysis, that means that during Munir Palapala's speech, I will be commenting periodically. And people watch my broadcast rather than watching SABC because they want to hear that. Same thing with Ronaldo's broadcast, but I will be covering it. All of Ernst von Sale went live. Oh, that's right. It's Tuesday. He does go live on Tuesday. Yeah, I will be watching it. Okay. Trump establishing a sovereign wealth fund. I told you. Where is the sovereign wealth fund, Pablo? Yeah, it's on your. It's okay, Ben, because there's been some trouble with this microphone. I don't know if I damaged it. It's been cutting out, just little, but it's perceptible. So I thought maybe you heard that. What's my thoughts on Mexico and Canada backing down? Lefty saying Trump was fooled. Trump was fooled. Mexico was fooled. How do they turn that around? Before we get to the news, since we're still on this. So Trump has threatened tariffs against Canada, Mexico, China, Colombia, South Africa. We have to forget South Africa, not yet. Europe. So Europe. And who else did he threaten against? Anyway, so let's just run through Panama. 6 different places he's threatened sanctions against. So Trump said that by February 1st, he would put sanctions in Mexico and Canada unless they started patrolling the border and protecting it. Justin Trudeau committed $600 million Canadian dollars to patrolling the border, new dogs and remote sensors and such, but it wasn't sufficient and they hadn't started yet. And he also, because of the pressure from Trump, decided to resign rather than be a man. So beta boy, Juicy Trudeau resigned. Result, great for Canadians, great for America. So Mexico refused to take its own citizens who were criminal alien invaders in our country back into their country. Donald Trump threatened them with tariffs. They still didn't do anything. Tariffs went in effect on February 1st. Boom. I'm sorry, before that. Before February 1st, they agreed to set up camps to process and repatriate their illegal aliens back in their own country. And they started that. And they also agreed to resume the stay in Mexico policy for fraudulent asylum seekers trying to slip into America. So those 2 things happened before the sanctions or the tariffs went into effect. I said sanctions, I meant tariffs. So then the tariffs went into effect on February 1st, and boom, within a couple days after Claudia Sheinbaum running her mouth, talking a big game, now 10,000 Mexican troops are on their way to the border, National Guard, to patrol the border and keep illegal aliens on that side of the border. Trump suspended the tariffs for 30 days in response. Canada also came to the table begging and made some concessions, so Trump suspended that for 30 days. Not for good. We're not suckers to see if they actually make progress. Colombia's president, Gustavo Petro, authorized the repatriation flights of criminal alien invaders, all of them hardened, convicted criminals, rapists, pedophiles, murderers, and home invaders, and he agreed to that and approved it personally. We found out later on from the Wall Street Journal. That flight was inbound, those 2 planes, and he said, no, trying to make a big show of it. We will not take these people. They are taking us partly, which is all bullshit. You're going to put a bunch of rapists and murderers in the back of a plane, a military plane, and let them run around, not keep them restrained in their seats? No, not a good idea. That plane is Con Air. Put the bunny down. That would have been Con Air, man. Donald Trump's got his own Con Air flights going on. Anyway, Gustavo Petro opened his mouth. Trump was on the golf course in Doral. You can see the video. Trump pulls out his phone. He starts typing in a text. 25% tariff. Next week, 50%. All visas for Colombian diplomats revoked. All entry for Colombian nationals revoked. Boom. Within an hour, Petro backs down. Panama had let a Chinese company get involved in running the Panama Canal. They denied it. The left denied it, but it's true. We threaten tariffs against Panama. The Chinese have been cut out. The tariffs are working. They're achieving their goal. The left is full of themselves. Tariffs for Denmark. Yeah, he talked about tariffs for Denmark. That's correct. I don't know about that one. So glad YouTube recommended your channel. New subscriber here from South Africa. Rion K9, thank you. It's rare that they do recommend it. I appreciate you found it. It's good news. Did your mic go flying again? No, it's just, I don't know. Something's happening. Raymax, I've been following you for years, and you absolutely inspire me and educate me so much. Raymax, I remember seeing you here in the past. You just don't chat much. Good to see you. I would like to express my gratitude for addressing topics the rest of the world remains silent about, even though I do not agree with everything you say. Well, I don't expect you to agree with everything, Penguin. Cyril doesn't agree with everything I say. Cyril, my jackass penguin. Not an African penguin, a jackass penguin. You can't change the name. He's still a jackass. So Cyril doesn't agree with everything. You don't have to agree with everything. Do you think I agree with everything Donald Trump says? No. If we just agree with everything someone says, we're just a party of sycophants, right? No, you don't have to agree with me. But if you're going to challenge me, come with facts, not with supposition, not with propaganda, and we'll have a conversation. Have you asked what they think of Africa now? Who's TOT, Chris? Sona will be fired. I love the fire Cyril Trump. Not like he can really get anything from his son. The president always says a bunch of not. He does. What's your thoughts on... Okay, that was where I was at, LT. I answered the question. Please explain how tariffs work. Robert, I've done that half a dozen times in the past week. Are you not here, or are you not listening? Or did my microphone go out? Okay. I'll do this again for everybody's benefit. Let me get to the bottom. I'll come back to it. Stinky the Squid is here. And then Stephanie Hatzamichael. Okay. Bertus says, finally got to your live stream. I just want to check if there's any update on the meeting between the spineless communist and Elon. Yeah, I did a video, Bertie. I just did a video. Did you not see it, Bertus? I did a video a little while ago. Let me check on that video. That was it went live. That's why I started the broadcast 15 minutes late. I needed time to edit my video. So let me see how many people have tuned in. Ramaphosa talks to Elon Musk. That video, which is been on now for an hour and 20 minutes, has 6,500 views. Yeah, it's on the channel. I don't understand how people aren't finding these videos, but they're finding my live streams. Thank you for your membership, K9. Thank you. Yeah, that video is up, and I explained that about their meeting, and I put a lot of imagery in that one, so please check it out. Okay, got to get back to the question about tariffs, and I'm explaining that. Okay, tariffs. This is how tariffs work, folks. Okay, and there's multiple outcomes of how tariffs can go. So a tariff is simply a tax. It's a fee. So I am producing, I don't know, stuffed animals, and I'm in Jamaica. So I got people making these because they're cheap. I can make them inexpensive instead of America, where I have to pay people $30 an hour and unemployment insurance and health benefits and retirement. And I can do it in Jamaica, and I pay them $3 an hour. Evil capitalist. Anyway, so I'm making these in Jamaica. Okay, they're really made in China. Anyway, making these in Jamaica. So Donald Trump decides to put tariffs on Jamaica because it's a murder capital of the world, and we're not fixing any human rights abuse are bad. That's his prerogative. So tariffs on Jamaica wind up being 25%. So I send a box of these little buddies to the States, $100 in the box, and now I have to pay $125 to get it into the country. Okay, now tariffs work the other way too. We can put them on our own domestic producers and charge them to ship goods overseas. That's done in countries when you're trying to stop there was a discussion about this, putting tariffs on the export of energy from the U.S. a few years ago because we were exporting so much oil abroad. People were like, no, keep the oil here. Don't ship it abroad. The prices are going up, but that was a misunderstanding of economics. But we could put tariffs on things going out of the country. But anyway, normally it's products coming in. So now the box is $125 for these little buggies. Okay, so now the options are I, as a producer or shipper who delivers it, can pay it at the port. Here you go. Here's your $25, your 25%. In fact, I have $25 right there. So $100. Here is the tariff. I've just paid you that $25. Now, the product I hope to get $100 for wholesale has cost me $125. Am I making money? I might be. I might not be. Depends on the markup on those little tchotchkes there. So if the markup is high enough that I'm still making a profit, I might just eat the cost of the tariff and make less profit. But a lot of products don't have that big margin. So if I don't have that margin, my options are, well, I'm sorry, Cyril, you're not going to America. We'll ship you back here to Jamaica. So I don't enter the market. And then that leaves space for other producers around the world in China to make the Cyril penguins, or someone else to make the penguins, or make it domestically. And they can steal my market share. Or I could ship Cyril into the country, and then I raise the price from that box from 100 to 125. And then me as a consumer, oh, look at that. That looks like Cyril Ramaphosa. Look at that gut. Ooh, look at that. He's living well on Pala Pala. I like this penguin. How much is it? Well, yesterday it was $100. Today's $125. $125? What's Trump's tariffs? Ah, but he's adorable. I'll pay it. And people will pay it. Or the third option is that they raise the price a bit so they can still stay profitable, but not too much to frighten off the buyer. Those are the three things that can happen. Or the fourth thing, which is what's desired, is the behavior in the country that's targeted changes. Canada begins protecting its border and ups its defense spending from 1.2% of GDP to at least 2%, which it promised to do a decade ago. Canada owes us, in the form of defense we provided, billions of dollars in unprovided mutual defense. 0.8% of their GDP has not been spent every year for 10 years. That's 8% of their GDP. So whatever Canada's current GDP is, give us that payment, $20 billion, whatever it is. Give it to us now because you've cheated us. So that's how tariffs work. All right, tariffs are paid by the importer and then the importer. No. You only have one concept of it, which you've been told by your ANC overlords there, Papa. I've just explained to you what happens in the real world. So, for instance, here's another thing. So, by your logic, Baba, this wouldn't work, but in fact it does. Oil is imported from the oil sands of Alberta, shipped down to the Gulf states and refined. Well, now there's a 10% tariff on it. But how many gallons of gasoline in a barrel of oil? Okay, I think I know the number. Let me double check. How many gallons of gasoline in a barrel? There you go, of crude oil. Okay, 42. All right, 42. So, all right, 42. So let's just do the math on this real quick. Okay, so 42. Oh, that's not math. I'm using it. I use my browser. I need my calculator. Oh, I need to get my head out of my backside here. Okay, so 42 times 0.18, it's 18 cents a gallon. So every barrel of oil that's distilled, refined into gasoline provides 42 gallons of gasoline. That gasoline is sold at the pump, and the U.S. government charges 18 cents per gallon. That works out to $7.56 a barrel in tax just for the sale of gasoline. Never mind with the tax on the barrel itself. But they also make $7.56 when it's converted to gas. That's also converted to kerosene and paraffin and diesel. But when it's converted to gasoline, they make $7.56. So people are saying, ooh, like, Pumzila Fandam. The Americans are going to pay a fortune for oil. 70% of their imports come from Canada, Mexico. Yeah, but imports from Canada, Mexico, and imports are only a small portion of our oil consumption. We produce most of the oil that we consume ourselves. In fact, we export oil. So the 10% tariff on Canadian oil and Mexican oil on a $75 barrel of oil, which is about what the price is right now, works out to $7.50. That means the barrel is now $82.75 or $82.50. $82.50, down from a peak of $140 under Biden 2 years ago. All right. So the U.S. government can give us a tax holiday and suspend the 18-cent federal tax on a gallon of gasoline. And do you know what will happen to the price of gasoline by putting a tariff on Canada? Nothing, Baba. Not a cent is passed on to the consumer. Not 1 penny. Because it's a wash. The price stays the same if the federal government gives us a tax holiday. So there's all kinds of ways around this. And then the tax will still be paid by the people who ship it into the country or who import it. Anyway, there you go. There you go. Anyway, new subscriber. I can't believe I only found you last month. I'm dying, wondering here if you live in South. No, I don't. How are you instituting silent politics? Well, I'm an intelligence analyst, a former intelligence officer, a published author, a university professor, a lecturer, and I've lived all over the world. I've lived in 16 countries, 3 tours in Germany, stationed in Italy, lived in Tunisia, Liberia, Botswana, Malawi, Nigeria, Mauritania, Uganda, and Ethiopia. Lived all over America, been to 78 countries around the world, worked in 38 countries in Africa. Yeah, and I've been to South Africa hundreds of times, and I go there now on trips every so many months. And the big factor limiting now is I'm not making that much money doing this, and I pay for it out of my pocket, and I have other expenses, so I can only go a few times a year. Anyway, but yeah. Tariffs are paid by the importer. Okay, no. So Ryan, thank you for finding me. I'm not surprised you didn't find me until now, because YouTube has been censoring my channel since I created it in April 2021, after they removed my original channel that had been around since 2006 in 2021, after 15, almost 16 years of being online. I didn't commit any offenses. And 2 years later, they gave it back, but they're still censoring that channel. No, I wasn't in charge of Africa Command. I was the senior officer there, though. What's your take? What's this? What's come on, where'd it go? What's your take on AC claiming they're pro people? They're not pro people. That's propaganda for the people. All right. Let me see if that thing is coming in the email now. Oh, there it is. She sent it to me. All right. Thank you, Bev. This morning, 187 farmers, their families, and workers woke to an uncertain future after Sunday. Their farm and likelihood is targeted by the ANC government. Okay, I will contact Ernst von Sale and see if we can't do something about that. Thank you for sharing that. John van Rensburg, Vietnamese, what's this? Vietnamese parliament. Huh? Oh, Vlaamse. I thought this Vietnamese is Vlaamse. Okay. Did Donald Trump tell Ramaphosa that he's still practicing racial genocide by not recognizing Khoisan? No, I didn't hear him say that. Didn't hear him say that. The deal Trump spoke of to pause Canadian tariffs was negotiated in December 24 under Biden. I can't find proof of new agreements. There were no tariffs on... Okay, I don't know what you're talking about, Bob, but there were no tariffs on Canada in December 2024. None. There was no pause to Canada. We have the U.S., Canada, Mexico agreement. The goods flow freely back and forth. There were no tariffs in December 24. So who told you that? That's a crock of horse shit. Someone made that up. Trump just imposed tariffs on February 1st. There were no tariffs on Canada till February 1st. So how does Sleepy Joe get involved with this? I mean, my response to that is the following. I mean, I don't know. I mean, I don't know how people actually tell you that and people believe it. There were no tariffs in Canada in December. And this is all I can think of.
Going to, my mind's going blank now. What's happening? I can't remember. I'm going to lose track. My mind's going blank now. What are you talking about? What the hell's going on here?
I mean, seriously. That's just crazy, Bob. I know you mean well, but that's just nonsense. Hey, Bernard. I'm off. You're welcome. What else we got here? Whoops. Oh, there we go. I had a little hiccup of mine. It paused here for a second. What's this? Have a real problem. A real workshop, a microfactory, cost me to walk to my own workshop. Okay. Laughed at Montasha saying if Trump won't give us the money, we'll punish him by not letting him buy our minerals. First off, what minerals are we getting from South Africa? Chrome? Not much demand for chrome these days. Platinum? Declining demand for platinum, and you got to be careful by crossing that bridge. You see, the Chinese cornered the rare earth market by buying mines all over the world when the world wasn't paying attention. And I reported on this. I told people in the intelligence community, nobody listened. So they bought all these mines up, and America closed its only rare earth mine in California. That was it. We shut it down. And suddenly the Chinese controlled over 95% of rare earth elements. And rare earth elements suddenly became very important because of technology and then EVs and things like that. Thank you, Gatus. And so suddenly the Chinese thought they would punish the Japanese. So this is over a decade ago. So Japan was the leading edge of electric cars with the Prius. Remember that? And so they needed these rare earth elements to make the batteries and components for these EV cars. Thank you, Etienne. And what happened was they had a dispute over the islands in the Sea of Japan, and they had Chinese ships ramming Japanese Coast Guard ships and fishing vessels. And so this was a real brouhaha and a serious diplomatic incident. So China decided they were going to turn off rare earth elements, and they stopped all rare earth elements to Japan. It put Toyota and others in a real bind. They didn't have this. They couldn't produce the batteries and components for their Prius and these other new electric cars, and they were trying to corner the market early on. And for 6 months, they struggled, and they couldn't sell these things. But what did they do? They found alternative elements and minerals. So turn off the platinum there, South Africa, and see how much money you get when we're not buying your platinum. We're the world's second largest car market after China. So good luck with that. We sell 18 million cars a year here. So, so JS says, do you know how many of Trump's executive orders have been rescinded? I don't know that any of them rescinded. I know that the only ones that have been challenged, I don't know if any have been challenged in court. There's been talk of them being taken to court. Doge, I guess that was an executive order establishing it. That has been challenged. That's been taken to court within minutes. Russo de Koch, welcome to you. The USA can import most of their minerals from Australia and, of course, Ukraine. Well, Trump said, if you want more money for Ukraine's war, we want the rare earth elements. Trump is acting like China now. He's acting like a mercantilist state. You want money? We want minerals. Actually, it's capitalism, but it sounds a lot like mercantilism. Trolls deserve to be ignored. Okay. Grumpy Camper. Yeah, Sandra says, I saw that in politicians delusional that they can threaten the U.S. with their mineral wealth. Exactly. We should surrender ourselves and become a state in America. I don't think we want a state in South Africa. Yeah, Ukraine apparently has lots of rare earths. I don't know about that. I worked at ISCOR a long time ago. Trains running all day long. Now, yeah, there are no trains. I thought you still need chrome and alloys for high steel grade. Yeah, but chrome comes from Russia. Chrome comes from the DRC. Comes from many places. Tuni van Wyk, yes, the Chinese. And by the way, it's sold on the open marketplace. The only way, see, look, this whole thing in a global marketplace is that, okay, you sanction America. We can't buy your tungsten or your chrome. But you sell it to other companies in other countries. We just buy it from them. Uranium comes from the United States, from Australia, from Niger, from Namibia. Just to reiterate, I'm not talking about the tariffs. I'm talking about the border agreement, Trump. Oh, I'm sorry, Bob. I misunderstood. It said tariffs. I swore it said tariffs. Yeah, okay. I'm not sure which border agreement you're talking about there. Yeah. Oh, okay. I know what you're talking about. The one I talked about. That agreement came about not because of Biden, but because Trump got elected. They were trying to circumvent and prevent this. Biden was president for 4 years. Nothing was done with the border for Canada until Donald Trump won the election November 5th. The reason the hostages were released in Gaza is because Donald Trump was becoming president and sworn in, and he threatened them. The reason that Canada reached an agreement on spending $600 million is because Trump won the election, and the jig was up, and they were trying to prevent Trump from imposing sanctions. Yeah, it happened on Biden's watch, but Biden had nothing to do with it. He was asleep. Yeah, no, I misunderstood what you're saying, but he doesn't get credit for that. MPs accused Ron Poe of using South African troops to protect mining interests. Yeah, that's been coming out, JT. I have not. I've asked the question, but I've not unequivocally stated that it's about the mining interest because I can't prove it. I've been trying to find sources and resources to prove it. I don't like to make unfounded claims. Sometimes I have to walk back claims because people lie and mislead and governments deceive. But I mean, you can only go with what you find out. But yeah, but I rarely have to walk things back because I usually vet things pretty well. So I'll look into that. South Africa's rare earths. Not much. It's in the Karoo. Oh, hey, please come, says Dylan. All right, apologies, timeout. What's the timeout? What's the timeout for? Where are you going, Elsa? What's the bly? All right, so we're losing people left and right here. I guess people are not happy. What, did you come for the news and you didn't get it? Is that why you're leaving? Okay. I'm answering your questions. All right, so let's go to the news. Ramaphosa says that he spoke to Elon Musk about misinformation after the Trump attack. Misinformation. Okay, let's hear about that misinformation. That's from previous visit. Ramaphosa spoke to Elon Musk on the subject of misinformation about South Africa. In the process, the president reiterated South Africa's constitutionally embedded values for the respect for the rule of law, justice, fairness, and equality. There is no respect for the rule of law. There's just oppression in South Africa. It's just a question of who suffers the oppression. Mostly black South Africans, poor ones. South Africa's coalition is in a dispute over Starlink as Elon Musk complains about the equality laws. Don't you love how they dress things up, equality laws? Where's the equality in the equality law? It's not about equality. Not about equality. Not at all. It's about illegitimately, immorally giving some people an advantage over other people. That's not equality. That's not equality. The Financial Times. Elon Musk's hopes of launching Starlink are being delayed by fierce infighting in the country's ruling coalition over black economic empowerment laws. Nick Robbie, thank you for your subscription. Once again, the Financial Times doesn't understand English. Black is not a noun. It's an adjective. It describes economic empowerment laws. Actually, economic empowerment describes the laws, as does black. Therefore, it is grammatically incorrect and racist to use black with an uppercase letter, unless it's at the beginning of a sentence. Or you're describing a group as blacks, then it's appropriate. But you're not. You're describing a noun with an adjective. You don't capitalize adjectives. David Pilling in London and Rob Rose in Johannesburg. You should go back to school and learn English. Are you part of the 30% crowd? Yeah. Good news, FlySaf Air has been given a year to sort out its ownership. FlySaf Air says South Africa's domestic aviation licensing authority has given it 12 months to reduce its foreign shareholding. Now, you see this? This is anti-market, anti-competitive. This is immoral. This is protectionist. This is the ANC demanding that a private corporation divest its equity and give it to someone else or sell it to someone else in order to operate. And of course, we know where it's going to be forced to go, to a BEE company. So FlySaf Air, the most reliable, most on time, most consistently affordable, largest route network in South Africa, is going to go to shit now because of BE. Yep, going to go bye-bye. So much for FlySaf Air. I'll get my flights in the next year, and then the 2 years after that, we'll watch it circle the toilet. Yep. Baba says that Robert Kennedy wants to be health secretary, but he ate raw pork that led to a brainworm. Lots of people eat raw meat. Japanese eat raw fish. It's not healthy. What's your point? We won't engage Trump with a begging bowl, says Vincent Mangwenya. Well, you will, and you have, and you shall. You're already doing it. Well, Propaganda 24, Propaganda 24 runs a story covering fire for the corrupt ANC government, claiming that there's been no expropriated land without compensation. Well, yeah, we know that. What's your point? Why are you running a story? And you've debunked the story about the new expropriation law. You haven't debunked anything. You simply diverted and distracted attention. It's not about expropriation without compensation from 1994 to today. It's about expropriation without compensation starting today. Well, starting January 23rd, I should say. And actually, it turns out starting December 20th. Cyril Ramaphosa, according to my sources, signed that bill on the 20th of December. Now, why does that matter, folks? Munir Palapala signed the law because under the South African Constitution, you must, in a timely fashion, share that with the public. Now, why would you have to do that? Why would you have to share the promulgation of a law with the public? Well, because the Constitution dictates it in Section 81 of South Africa's Constitution. And it says specifically the following, ladies and gentlemen. This is what it says. Section 81, publication of acts, a bill assented to and signed by the President becomes an act of Parliament, must be published promptly and takes effect when published or on a date determined in terms of the act. And the reason for that is because under Section 81, opposition parties that can muster 100 or 1/3 of the vote in Parliament can have the vote or have the law taken to the Constitutional Court immediately, circumventing all appeals and all of the ways going up through local courts, the Supreme Court of Appeal to the Constitutional Court, You don't have to go through any of those. You go straight to the Constitutional Court for a determination of constitutionality if 1/3 of Parliament does it. But they have, they must cobble together 1/3 of Parliament, 132 members, MPs, and it must be done within 30 days of the signing. Cyril Ramaphosa surreptitiously signed that bill on December 20th, then waited 35 days until he was at Davos to make big fanfare and pretend to sign it in front of the world. Lügner und Betrügner. Yep, that's what the guy is. Wow. So now there's a whole legal conundrum about can we even challenge this because the 30 days is expired. And that works because now you'll have to go through the legal process, which you have to file a court case, you have to get on the docket, you have to have a court case, you have to appear in it, and time will surpass and go by. Meantime, land will be stolen from political opponents of the regime, and they will be impoverished. And it will go to caters or BEE tenders. That's what will happen. The destruction of South Africa begins January 23rd, 2025. Well, speaking of destruction, a very well-known Zulu bank. Are you still here? We had LT here earlier. A very well-known Zulu-based bank is in trouble, folks. And it's not really a bank. That's part of the problem. Itala Bank's liquidation reeks of desperation and politics, says Van Rooyen. The saga surrounding the Itala SOC Limited and First National Bank has been highlighted during the Portfolio Committee on Trade, Industry, and Competition and the Standing Committee on Finance Tuesday. Members of the Umkhonto Sizwe Party, Des Van Rooyen, said the assassination of the black-owned institution reeked of desperation and politics. He said they heard complaints on the possible collusion between the Banking Association of South Africa and the banks. This organization has been in business since 1958. It's not licensed as a bank. It's been operating as a bank illegally. It's been giving multiple opportunities to get itself in compliance with banking laws in South Africa and has failed to do so. So the authority overseeing banks changed under the ANC, and this is not an assassination of black-owned business. Notice how they threw black in there. Black-owned business. Des Van Rooyen says the assassination of the black-owned institution. It's not assassination of a black-owned institution. It's a majority black government which changed the oversight of the banking sector, and this entity has failed to comply with the rules, putting depositors at risk, and therefore it can no longer operate. They've been warned. They were given lots of time to do it, and they pull out their racist card. They pull out their race card. Aha, we're not going to do it, and you can't make us do it because we're black. No, nothing to do with that. It has to do with the fact that you put depositors at risk. Yep. The Constitutional Court has rejected Jacob Zuma's appeal on his private prosecution. The Apex Court said the appeals application came too late and there were no prospects of success. Yep. They dismissed an appeal by former President Zuma to pursue his private prosecution of Cyril Ramaphosa. Meanwhile, Ramaphosa ignores Paul Kagame's spokesperson's claim that the president's mining interest in DRC. Well, it's heating up there in South Africa between South Africa and Rwanda. Oh my goodness, it's not getting pretty there. Well, Juju calls for the closure of the Rwandan embassy and blames Kagame for the deaths of SANDF soldiers. Nope. The people responsible for the death of SANDF soldiers, right there. One, Julius Selo Malema. You're responsible. You and the other 399 members of the parliament who authorized the SANDF deployment to the Congo. You're responsible for their death. You sent them there without medevac, without adequate equipment, rations, ignoring the golden hour, and resources. Insufficient training, poor leadership, and you left them there. They've been there since December of 2023. Only after soldiers died in August did you even notice. And from August until January, you did nothing to improve the situation. The deaths of 14 South African soldiers and the previous deaths of 7 soldiers, now 21, and the amputation of a soldier's leg and the critical wounds of the other 17 soldiers are squarely on the lap and in the face of Julius Selo Malema and the other 399 members of that parliament. You are responsible. You are responsible. You, even if you voted against the deployment, failed to go to the media to make this a topic to take to the public, to get the public aroused, to demand action, to not send them under the SADC banner to the DRC. You, Juju, are responsible, not Paul Kagame. Not Paul Kagame. That's like blaming Santa Claus because your kid got too many Christmas presents. Think about it. Think about that, Juju. It's Santa's fault. My kid's got too many presents. Think about it. Juju, Baba, Juju's Julius Malema. I just said his name, Julius Yandakok. Julius Selo Malema. I just said it, Baba. You're not keeping track there, man. Rwandan rebels have decided on a ceasefire. M23 rebels, they're not Rwandan, they're Rwandan-backed, I should say. M23 rebels under Corneille Nangaa have declared a ceasefire to let things calm down in Goma, where apparently 900 bodies have piled up in the morgue, according to the United Nations. Arab ministers lobby against removing the Palestinians from Gaza in a letter to Marco Rubio. We don't want them. Don't bring them here. Well, this thing is way larger than it's supposed to be. There we go. 5 Arab foreign ministers and senior Palestinian officials sent a joint letter to Secretary of State Marco Rubio opposing plans for Gazans to go elsewhere, instead demanding that they be involved in the reconstruction process. We don't want them. They're our Arab brothers. They can go elsewhere. Yeah, okay. Always sending them elsewhere. Meanwhile, China has stepped up its effort to deal with the United States tariffs by imposing its own tariffs. And they're going to investigate Google. China announced retaliatory tariffs on American products and an antitrust investigation into Google just minutes after sweeping tariffs imposed by Trump. There you go. Well, let's see how that goes for China. Last time that they tried this, it didn't work, and it cost them dearly under Trump. These tariffs swiftly come as a result. Brendan Shedburn, thank you for joining us. Beijing responded swiftly on Tuesday to the tariffs President Trump had promised, announcing a fusillade of countermeasures targeting American companies and imports of critical products. Well, good on you, China. Let's see how that goes. The United States has decided once again to withdraw from the United Nations Human Rights Council, which is full of a rogues gallery of states. And so we're not participating in it. 47 countries are currently members of the Human Rights Council. It's beyond unwieldy. Yep. So we are withdrawing from it. And that was a executive order published by Trump. Flemish nationalist Bart de Wever has been sworn in as Belgian prime minister after 7 months of paralysis. And this is the problem with weak European governments that can't govern because of coalitions. More than 7 months after parliamentary elections in June, political talks have resulted in the formation of a coalition government led by nationalist Bart de Wever. Flemish nationalist Bart de Wever has been sworn as the country's new prime minister. Yep. It moves the country further to the right. Meanwhile, thousands of German-hating Germans have appeared in the streets of Berlin in front of the Reichstag. Yes, thousands protest against the far right in Berlin. Tens of thousands of people took to the streets of Berlin to protest what they see as a breach of taboo in post-war German politics. The protest came after some parties voted alongside the far-right party, the Alternative für Deutschland, over a non-binding resolution on immigration. Christian Democratic Union leader Friedrich Merz, who is tipped to be the next chancellor, had tried to rely on support from the AfD twice last week. The move sparked anger, and people were out there. Wir sind das Volk. Ja, nie wieder ist jetzt. Nie wieder, of course, is the German term for never again the Holocaust. These people don't give a flying flip about the Holocaust. Someone's just inculcated them, indoctrinated them with catchy phrases. The alternative for Germany is for Germans, not for others, and that's the problem. They're self-loathing Germans. They're the ones that have let Germany be invaded by over 10 million foreign nationals. They're the ones responsible for the gang rapes taking place of German girls and women. They're the ones responsible for people attacking Germans in the streets and stabbing them and running them down with cars in Christkindl marks. These are the people who have allowed this to happen to Germans. And frankly, we should deport them all to Russia. Rubio says he's acting director of USAID as it's taken over by the State Department. Now, the media makes a big deal about this. The State Department's taking over USAID. That's not news. State Department was relegated under the State Department. USAID was relegated under the State Department under George Walker Bush when I was serving in uniform, and I dealt with this in Africa. And AID didn't like it. They chafed at it, and so they fought all they could. And then when Obama got in, they were able to pull away more. And when Biden came in, they pulled away completely, and they just went off the rails and spent money on, story time, transgender coloring books for Peruvian students and sex change operations for Serbians, U.S. taxpayer dollars. Unbelievable. So, so Marco Rubio in control of USAID, not a surprise. It's going to be disbanded anyway. Well, Trump is giving hints that Elon Musk is not as powerful as the left thinks he is. The president says Musk won't have unfettered ability to dismantle government, but for now, the relationship is holding firm, according to the Wall Street Journal. He said there were curbs in place to prevent Musk from doing anything in the government without the White House's blessing. In other words, Musk can't do anything unless Trump gives him approval. He's not a government official. But the New Republic, this is a leftist bunch of nonsense. Illegal Trump-Musk power grab at USAID suddenly becomes bigger scandal. Ooh, illegal power grab. It's not illegal. It's not illegal. The U.S. Agency for International Development was established by executive order, and it can be rescinded by executive order. Pretty simple, not rocket scientists. And an Upper Plains state, mistakenly called a Midwest state by the Daily Mail, yet new discovery of petroleum. Ooh, liquid gold. Liquid gold. It's going to be great. It's going to be bad. It's going to be wonderful. It's going to be best ever, to quote Donald Trump. North Dakota could help America become dominant in the oil industry after experts found a significant amount of undeveloped oil resources yet to be extracted. Geologists determined that the Middle Three Forks Reservoir in McKenzie County has another 10.5 billion gallons of oil worth $18.6 billion at current prices, only 50 feet lower than where the drilling is currently operating. The reservoir is part of the Bakken Petroleum System located in Montana and North Dakota, which has the largest oil deposits in the U.S., churning out 474 million barrels per year. Wow. North Dakota's portion of the oil system produces 1.2 million barrels a day, which is more than Angola. The state of North Dakota produces more per day than Angola, and a significant portion of what all of Nigeria produces in a day. And that's the news for today. What are we down to? 237, 326 likes. What's not true? What did Baba say that's not true? The group that has some sketchy people who say Germans shouldn't be ashamed of Nazis. No, nobody said that. The AfD never said that. That's where do you get your news from, Baba? Also, Baba Schokolade, können Sie eigentlich Deutsch sprechen? Haben Sie je in Deutschland gewohnt? Ja. Und wie lange haben Sie schon Deutsch gesprochen? Und kennen Sie ziemlich gut also die politische Partei, zum Beispiel die CDU oder SPD, oder auch heute die neue Alternative für Deutschland. Was können Sie mir dazu erklären und Bescheid sagen über dieses Thema? Das werde ich jetzt hören. Bitte, ich erwarte. Oh, sorry. I was asking if, what does Baba know, how long he's been speaking German and where he lived in Germany and how long he lived in Germany. Marcel Schleidem, thank you for subscribing. And look, now, to be fair to Baba, you don't have to live in Germany. You don't have to speak German to understand German politics, but I'm just being a little snarky here. It's a content creator's prerogative. Because what Baba is telling you is what the leftist media have told him. It's not a fact. The Alternative for Germany, AfD, does not officially have a stance saying that people should not be ashamed of the Nazis. That's just silly. Joe Cruiser's back. Okay. YouTube blocked you. YouTube blocked you. Must have said something really bad. H.M. Kinnear says, I think you should advise Trump about South Africa past and present. Then he'll get. I have to get access to him. You know, I'm struggling to get to Trump. I mean, I was asked to submit my CV. I did that in late December. I haven't heard from anybody. So I think that mine's one of probably thousands. They just probably sitting out there in the wilderness. I don't know any people that have any power. So I know people with power in South Africa. I'm not South African, but I don't know people with power in America. They were documented saying it on TV. Who are they? Baba. Okay. Who are they? When did it occur? Which television network was it on? And who was it? So that's what I'll hold you to. If you want me to believe what you said is true, I'll believe it if you can tell me who it was, when it occurred, so I can research it and prove it. I have never heard the Alternative for Deutschland leaders ever say that people shouldn't be ashamed of Nazis. Unless it happened in the last week. Bryce Large. Thank you, Bryce, for joining us. So, hey, Mark Purchase, what's going on there? Pablo Charlie says Dusseldorf. What's about Dusseldorf? Pablo Charlie, stop whatever you're doing right now. Dilla says leaving South Africa. No pipe welder jobs for those refiners for master craftsmen. After billions of liters of diesel that I cannot afford, I clearly try to kiss my wife. What, Richard? Firdos, I wish I had influence in the government. I'm trying. I have influence in some people in the media, and I'm spreading it as much as I can. Deval Pretoria says, get on the Sean Ryan show. Who the heck is Sean Ryan? Sean Ryan. Screenwriter, producer, never heard of him. Never heard of him. Former Navy SEAL. Who the hell is he? He's got 1 million followers. Never heard of him.
Conferences where they will bring together but they give everything that was accused of January 6 protesters, but
never heard of him. See, this is what happens when censorship, the heavy thumb of censorship hid my channel, my content for years, and these other people grew. Armageddon says, Armageddon says, this somehow is a plan. Every country has issues all of a sudden, not a race war. To me, it looks like a religious, no, it's not religious. It's a class war. It's a class war. No, Baba, you can't post links because only moderators can post it. But I'll tell you what, Baba, I will give you a short window here, and I'll make you a moderator briefly, okay? And you can. This is how I'll let you. You'll be able to post your link if you got it. You know, that's YouTube. I have nothing to do with that. Only moderators and content creators can post links in YouTube chat. So I've, Baba, just given you. Yeah, I gave it to you. I just gave you one. You want to post a link? You said you have a link. There you go. I've made you a moderator, but I will rescind that in a few minutes. So you've got a few minutes to do it. Okay, so there you go. Put up or shut up. Put up or shut up. Difference in Germany doesn't rewrite history. They learn from their mistakes. Yep, okay. Wesley Jose says, good evening, Chris. What do you make of the sovereign wealth fund that Trump wants to set up? Yeah, Pablo Charlie keeps talking about a sovereign wealth fund, but we can't afford a sovereign wealth fund. We're in debt. Until the $37 trillion is paid off, and money is set aside for future Social Security payments, a sovereign wealth fund is a joke. It's a joke. Unless he's going to use tariff money to fund it. Yeah, that's new income, maybe. He's getting better ratings than Joe Rogan. Also a vet. Okay, Duvall. I didn't know that. Thanks. Yeah. No, thank you, Wesley. I'm glad you like the show. I don't look, sovereign wealth funds are great. They work for Norway. They work for Kuwait. I think Singapore has one too, if I'm not mistaken, but I know there's other two have. I'm very familiar with Norway and Kuwait's. Kuwait spent $25 billion out of their sovereign wealth fund to fund our liberation of Kuwait. And Norway has got a massive trove of resources in their national sovereign wealth fund from oil. Yep. And of course, what do? They let their country be invaded. 16% of the people living in Norway aren't even Norwegian. 16%. In a far northern land of only a small number of people. And they go out of their way to be woke and bend over backwards. And every Norwegian television show is full of black people, even though it's not the land of black people, and Arabs, even though it's not the land of Arabs. Anyway, so you've got permission there, Baba, now to post that link. You said you can't post the link, but now you can. So, and I've asked PK to stop moaning with you. So, you see you're being treated fairly here. But you've got your chance. You said you have a link to the story about the Alternative for Deutschland, encouraging people to not be ashamed of the Nazis. Yep. So anyway, I'm always ashamed of leftists. The Nazis were leftists. They were socialists. The National Socialist German Workers' Party. Yep. Okay, Bob will post it later on. I'll take you off. So it's done. Okay. Vicky Perrin, please have a look at the Bella bill for it. I have, Vicky, you must be new to the channel. I have done so many videos on the Bella bill long before it ever went into law. Let's see, January 17th, I have one on there with Kale Creel from, it's an interview. Kevin von Houten, thank you. I had colleague Creel from AfriForum talking to me about that for an interview on January 17th. On December 20th, a video Ramaphosa exposes his lip service, full implementation of Bella bill. December 20th, Bella implemented. November 30th, Bella backlash. September 18th, South Africa's GNU and the Bella bill. And that's just the most recent one. So thank you, Johan Steenkamp, for subscriber. I've done a lot of videos on the Bella bill. I've talked about it. I've also had Richard Wilkinson on the program to talk about Bella and about education, about the Pretoria Girls High School for Girls. I talked about that. I talk about these many things. So it's there. It's not an apropos topic at the moment. And right now I'm trying to grow the channel and we're having some success. In fact, let me see how we've done here. We've gained another 100 subscribers since we've been live. We're approaching 29,000 subscribers. That's very exciting, but I have to do a new video every day that's timely, apropos, and is insightful and informative and interesting in order to gain people. And it's a lot of work, folks. I've been busting my tail. Meanwhile, other content creators in South Africa whose content gets promoted widely because they're in South Africa and they're trying to make ad revenue off of those content creators, they get 80, 100,000 views on all their videos, even when they say stupid shit they don't even know what they're talking about. So I struggle for that, but I'm having much greater success than I used to. My goodness, if I go back to November, December, I'd have videos with 2, 3, 5, 800 views for prepared video, and I just quit making them because it was too much work and too much time, and I just stuck to my news broadcast. And then Nobs Mkisi went on a Fly-Saf Air flight, and she said, "I'm an ANC, bitch!" And it all turned around. I made the videos on that, and I exposed her, and I exposed the South African Captured Human Rights Commission for its failure to do anything, and it still hasn't done anything. It says they're looking into it now, but they've not reported anything. They're just covering it up because they don't mind black racists. They don't mind black racists. It's okay with them. South African Human Rights Commission only does, occasional, well, we got to do it, so we show that we're objective. But they ignore most of the racism and bigotry espoused by black racists. Fortunately, just like white racists, the number of black racists is a very small number of people. But anyway, they went after her. Now, I had no problem with her being a bigot and a racist. That's her personal defect. That's not my issue. I had a problem with her endangering the safety of people on that flight. That's my problem I had with her. So, Chris, you're one significant blessing to the sane South Africans. Well, thank you for that, Joe. Okay. It's time to get rid of the DA. Yeah, a lot of people are angry with the DA. I'm South African. I'm in Joburg. I tried for 12 years now to get work and nothing. 2 years from now, I will be leaving South Africa. My goodness. Oh my God. I'm sorry to hear that you can't get work for 12 years. That's insane. That's insane. Here I am turning down work all the time. People ask me to go work for them. I'm turning it down so I can keep doing this to reach people. Wonder why Girls High, a few years after integration started, there was a huge news story about hairstyles of girls and teachers in the school attract. They try that stuff all the time. They try that stuff all the time with the hair stuff. But schools are allowed to put clothing and grooming standards in place. There's a reason for it. It's health and safety, but it's beyond that. It's also because school is not about individualism. It's about education. And that's one reason why we had so much violence in America at schools for a period of time in the 1990s, is because kids were being murdered over Nikes and high-top shoes. And so a lot of schools reverted to school uniforms, which is something that had been done in the past, and that stuff stopped. They all had to wear standardized uniforms. You can't stand out, just like being in the military. You're not special. You're just another person here. Apply yourself. Yep. Anyway, the Pretoria High School for Girls was an intentional setup. What happened? I suspected. My analysis appeared to be that case. I said this is a plausible reason for what's going on. And in fact, it turned out that's exactly what the investigation determined. A number of black girls who were at the school have been poisoned by their parents or by social media or by whatever, that black people are evil. And so they came into school hating the white girls and decided that they were going to make them pay for being whitey. So their messages revealed that they planned to take them down during the school year. And as they did this, they plotted and they set the whole thing up. And they targeted these girls, and then the school, with the help of Panyazi Lesufi and the Gauteng Department of Education, illegally suspended, removed them from their roles as prefects without any investigation, without any due process, and then demonized them in the press and even released their names in the press. Somebody did. It wasn't the Gauteng Department of Education, but someone did. And their lives were shattered and destroyed. When in fact, an investigation determined that the racist black girls intentionally targeted these white girls just because they were white and destroyed their lives. Meanwhile, they destroyed the life of the principal, and they're still attacking the Pretoria High School for Girls, claiming it's racist, when a black and an Indian judge are the ones who did the investigation and proved that it was completely opposite. This is unfortunate, and this doesn't help racial relations. There are real racists out there, or real white people that hate black people and do things against black people, and there are real black people who do the same thing against black people and white people and brown people. So making shit up is not helpful, and that's what happened at Pretoria High School for Girls. Prosthetic leg, so getting around is difficult. Need a new leg too, but can't afford it. What does a new leg cost? Arma Magan, you're in Joburg. What does a new leg cost? All right. Baba, I did not see Pablo Charlie mentioning bananas? Did he actually say that? Pablo Charlie, you here? Did you actually make those racially tinged insults against him? I didn't see that. So if that happened, my apologies to you. I can't monitor the chat and do everything, and my moderator should have caught that. That's not acceptable. No dog whistling and attacking people. And if you're used to it, that's unfortunate. That shouldn't happen. People, 35,000 Rand. My goodness, that's a lot of money. Work in the IT field, it's hard, and I push myself to learn. You can't get a job in the IT field? That's interesting. Maybe Pablo Charlie got a spanking by one of my moderators. Please check my WhatsApp. From you, Ronell? Okay. Oh, okay. That's what happened. All right. So Baba, now let me ask you this question. Did you abuse the moderator status that I gave you to spank Pablo Charlie? I didn't give it to you to punish him. I gave you the moderator status to give me the link. So you're also being disingenuous here. Wow. People just cannot behave themselves. Well, I didn't give you authority to do that. So, Pablo Charlie, when you come back, if you misbehave, you got spanked by a moderator. But that's why I don't... Okay, Pablo, thank you for apologizing. Okay, yeah. No, that's why all my moderators have moderator standards. I have community standards for my moderators. It's a one-page rule, and I send it to them. I only do a temporary moderator thing to let people... And you didn't ask for it, to be fair, Bobby. You didn't ask for that authority. You didn't ask for... Okay, relax, Charles. Relax, okay? The guy's probably incensed because someone called him names, okay? Be understanding here, okay? Pablo Charlie, we know, acts like an ass a lot of times. So let's just calm down. Exactly. No one said that Pablo's racist. He's being an ass. I just said ass, not racist. There's a big difference. Pablo Charlie's an ass a lot of the time. He's one of the people that likes to troll. And, one of our more famous trolls, who's a friendly troll, is very quiet. Where's Matthew Dixon? So everybody calm down about it. And, Baba, no harm, no foul. Just... you didn't ask for that moderator status. I just did it because we were talking about it, and you said about the alternative for Germany. So it's gone. We're done. All right, enough of that nonsense. All right, so everybody behave themselves, and we'll move on. Tyler, no, I haven't called you a troll, but you've been trolling a little bit. You have. You need to be honest here. Don't lie. You've been trolling a little bit. Not this moment, but you have. The video I did at the launch of this stream is 11,000 views now. Ancestral passport. Okay. If you have extensive knowledge in IT field, I can put you in touch with Remote Work in USA. There you go. Alts, there you go. Excellent. Excellent. Alts, get my email if you want. Send me that information. And Armageddon, Carla, thank you for subscribing. If you are interested in that, you can also use the email that Hendo has put up there. There's the email. Both send me emails, and I will put you in touch with each other, okay? If that's okay. There you go. See, we help people here. We've done it in the past. We've helped lots of people here. That's not the role of the channel, but we do it. Yeah, that is so cool. If we can do it right here, helping each other. And we don't even know if the person's black, white, or brown. We don't know. Armageddon, that's not Armageddon. Armageddon. We don't know if Armageddon is a woman, a man, black, white, brown. We do know that Armageddon has a prosthetic foot. We know that about them. So that's all we know about the person. But we don't care if you're black, you're white, you're brown. Well, I don't care if you're white. See there, now we know you're white. Why'd you tell me that? Now we know. Now the accused is only helping white people, but we've helped black people out and colored folks on this channel. So, yeah. Anyway, well, please, let's, if you don't mind sharing that. Who was it that said? Now, I'm not making promises. Alts is the one that said it, so Alts has to send me an email and give me a contact information, either a mobile phone number or preferably an email, so I can send an email, and you've got to reach out to me, Armageddon. And maybe, look, there's a lot of remote work in the IT field for companies in America that are offshoring work to South Africa. I know several South Africans that do that, and some of them make very good livings at it. So, yeah. Also, no, don't give me a surname. There's no need to put that in here. We're not asking for that. Erie Ford Tracker. Shocked by the political reactions to support the EWC bill. Well, where the hell have you been? I haven't seen you in like 6 months, man. She's worried people pass on. All right, Chris wants a metallurgy job. Will anybody else help with that? When I was growing up, there was rumors that both U.S. and South Africa were nukes aimed at South Africa. True. That's just a rumor. We had no nuclear weapons pointed at South Africa, to my knowledge. Nope. All our weapons were pointed at Eastern Europe and Communist China. Yep. MacArthur tried to use nuclear weapons in North Korea, but that was shot down by Truman, thank God. But yeah, no, we didn't have weapons pointed at South Africa. That's not true. That's probably something the National Party told people. Yep. All right. So, all right. Well, that's interesting conversation. All right. So I did get through the news. Yeah, let me close that. I don't need any more. So get rid of that. All right. Let me take a look at what's going on the channel, folks. We are at 28,850 subscribers. So today, we've had a good average here the past few days. The past several days, we're averaging like 1,000 subscribers per day. That's unbelievable. Let's see. Right now, we've had, we started the day at 28,092. So that's 700 and some. So we got about 300 more to go to make it to 1,000. Don't know if we're going to be able to pull that off today. But we've had 125,000 views, 86,000, 89,000, 128,000 views, and 97,000 views. We're averaging over 100,000 views per day for 2, 3, 4, 5 consecutive days. That's awesome. And each of those days, we've averaged about 1,000 new subscribers per day, which is really cool. Anyway, that's pretty cool. So thank you for that. And also, you know, a nice thing that's going along here too, which is something I don't put a lot of stock in, but with so many people watching the videos, I'm actually generating ad revenue, and that's nice to see. It's not going to pay my bills, but it helps. So, okay, cool beans. All right. So, not that smart. I even said that not to make me a mod. Never make me president. Hey, Bob, relax. Okay, relax. Aren't you the one that said you want to be a farmer earlier? Oh my God. Hendo, can you put the email up again, please? It's there it is right there. Hendo, see, he's on the spot. Johnny on the spot. Ladies and gentlemen, let's have a round of applause. Okay, there are, how many people are here right now? Let's take a look and see, because my data's behind. Yeah, that's way behind. 192. Boy, people are leaving left and right. Can we get a little applause for our moderators, in particular Hendo and Erica? They've been with us for a long time. Hendo has been there from the very beginning. This guy does all this for free, watches all these broadcasts. When I put him to sleep, you know, all he's ever gotten from me is some merch, hoodie and some shirts and stuff. I gave him my good stuff, by the way. Yeah, can we give a thumbs up? Hendo is Johnny on the spot, really does a great job. He's a humble guy, you know, he's pretty cool. So there you go. Applause for moderators. Yeah, no, he does a great job. So there's the email. Please send email. I'll try to check my email later today and put people in touch with each other if they're able to do it. Okay, cool beans. And I thank you guys for that. Okay. Still sitting with storage problems on these toys. I don't know what that's all about. Marius Fenta says, oh, sleep time. My goodness. Is my audience trending old? Just kidding. All right. Well, we've lost a lot of viewers here in the last hour. I guess they went elsewhere. So, all right. What I'm going to do here, folks, is let me just check on something real quick. I want to, before I wrap this thing up. All right, and then come on. Let's see if it's still going on. I gotta. It takes a little while sometimes to make these things happen. So there we go. Okay. What's going on here? Why can't I find it? Huh. Interesting. I can't find what I'm looking for. Just trying to find something very quickly here on YouTube. For some reason it's not there. There it is. Is he not live anymore? I guess he's not live. He must have finished already. I was going to take it to Conscious Curical, but he's done, so we're not going to do that then. My bad. All right, I guess he finished already. I must have gone too long. Storing nukes. Okay. Chris, I'm really glad I discovered your channel. Do you know anything about what is this Hey Group that someone mentioned earlier? Is this something new that popped up? It formed in January. I don't know anything about it. I'll be honest. Caught me completely off guard. It's not something I know about. Anyway, Andre Fundament, good to see you there. Sanette Fundameva, I'm looking at your profile pic. Why the beard now? Sanette, you've missed so much, my dear. You've missed so much. My beard was down to my navel. The beard was because of lockdown. I said when governments began behaving themselves, I would grow a beard. I would cut my beard when they behave themselves. So yeah, that's a long story. Hey Group are 9 nations formed recently to protect and uphold the rulings of the ICJ and IC case against Israel. Okay, Werner, thank you for that. That's the first informative piece of information I've had about it. I will look into it. Okay, it's called the Hey Group because but the problem with that is whomever these people are, they're just bullshit artists because the International Criminal Court, the case of genocide is unproven, so there's no decision to uphold. The International Criminal Court has no jurisdiction over Israel or the territory of Gaza. Nobody there is a signatory. They have no authority over Russian Republic, Russian Federation, or over Ukraine. Neither of those countries are signatories to the International Court of Justice. Its sovereignty stops at the borders of a place that has not ratified the Rome Statute. So a bunch of bullshit artists, it sounds like to me. And so I'll look into it and see what I can find out about it, okay? And I appreciate you all bringing it to my attention because I hadn't heard about it. I don't follow these leftists that much unless it pops up on my screen. So back to the beard question. So yeah, the beard, Sinette, was because governments were acting like children. That's not the way you respond to a pandemic. And so I said, until they grow up, I won't cut my beard. And they never grew up. And so by 2021, about 18 months after I started growing it, my beard was down to my navel. It was incredibly long. In fact, if you see photographs of me from that time frame when I was in South Africa, I began trimming it before I came to South Africa, but let me see. That's going to be here. I'm just going to picture up real quick to show you. Let's go with August of 2022. Here you go. Let's just be honest here, folks. Okay, here's, I don't know what this one is, but this is a video of me from back then. So there you go. The 2021 municipal election is an absolute disaster for everybody except the Freedom Front Plus, the Inkatha Freedom Party. And honestly, it wasn't as bad for the economic freedom fighters as everybody makes out to be. The bottom line is this. The ANC lost 32% of the voters it had in 2016 elections for councils. The DA, trying to paint lipstick on a pink and talk about the ANC dropped below 50%, they lost 32% of their voters. The economic freedom fighters lost 2%, but the Inkatha Freedom Party gained 1%, and the Freedom Front. So that was after I already began trimming my beard up. I've only kept the beard for a few reasons, but I promised that it was going away. And if you go back and look at my videos at the beginning of December, the beard was here, and it's worked its way all the way up to here. I haven't trimmed it in a week, but it's time to trim it again. So yeah, people loved it. A lot of Burki loved my beard when I started doing it. That's not why I grew it. So anyway, that was a Couche de la Rey beard there. Anyway, so. What goodness? Annalise says, "Goodness, yeah, no. When I came back to South Africa in that time frame in 2021, let me get a picture when I was in South Africa. And hang on a second here. This is my way on. This is my way at the airport on the south. All right, there, where the hooligan lake. Okay, so the weather hooligan, who was known in South Africa for a while, I don't know if he's still around. He wanted a cowboy hat. And so I bought him a cowboy. There's a Western wear shop about 1 kilometer from my house, just ironically. So I went there and I bought him a cowboy hat. And I hand carried that cowboy hat from here to the airport to Chicago, which is the wrong direction to fly Lufthansa, from Chicago to Frankfurt. Walked around the airport for 10 hours in Frankfurt, flew to Johannesburg. And then from Johannesburg, I flew... or was it to Cape Town? Hey, Timmy. Flew to Cape Town. And then, I flew to Cape Town. Then I flew from Cape Town to Joburg to Uppington, all with the cowboy hat. Everywhere I went, I'm taking photographs, posting them online, doing videos. And then we had a meet and greet when I came back from Uppington, where I was meeting with the Sightlanders group. I came back to Joburg and Debbie set up a meet and greet for me at the Emperor's Palace there at the Met Court. And at that meet and greet, I handed this hat over to the Weather Hooligan. And I liked it so much that, and people liked it on me so much that I bought one for myself. So I got myself one of these hats, but the one you're seeing in this video is not my hat. That was the one given the Weather Hooligan. And in true South African fashion, not long after he got it, it was stolen. Yeah, they stole it from him. All right there, Weather Hooligan, leg one completed. Your hat is in Chicago on its way to Gauteng. Making our way there. Yep, Chicago's O'Hare. Was the busiest airport in the world. Don't know if that's still the case. Well, there you go. On our way. So there you go. And I documented my trip with that hat all the way to South Africa. First time I saw your beard, I thought you were a four-tracker. Exactly, Tom. Exactly. Been watching the whole time. Hendo's quiet in the back of class. Okay, Paulie. There you go. Brains behind the operation. The without compensation is malicious, intently direct. Yeah, it is. It is. Will President Trump see through this? I hope so, Bossy. I hope so. I wish I had influence with President Trump. I wish, again, I was asked to give my CV to be considered for the Trump administration. Also, I went to a website and later deposited my CV there, and I have not heard a peep from anybody. Every time I get a 703 area code, which is Northern Virginia, or a 202, which is DOC, I actually answer my phone. Usually I ignore those, but now I'm answering them just in case. But they're usually telemarketers, just in case somebody's calling me. But I wouldn't hold my breath on that. I'm not politically connected. Beard is amazing. Mine wasn't that long. Now shaved. Okay. No, the beard was amazing. Trump's actions will indiscriminately impact all South Africans. Logistically impossible. No, Baba, that's not true. Let me just clarify this. They won't affect all South Africans. Nope. First off, the money that goes to South Africa doesn't go to businesses. It doesn't go to foreign business. There's a small amount spent on trade, but that's inter-country. So it could have a small impact. We're only talking a few $1 million here. It will affect the 8.1 million South Africans who are HIV positive, and the 3 or 4 million of them are currently taking antiretrovirals. Some of them will unfortunately be left in the wayside unless South Africa's government steps up and quits stealing money and buys the antiretrovirals themselves. So it will affect some tens of thousands of South Africans. That's true. But there are no sanctions on South Africa, just like there are none in Zimbabwe. That's another lie. So it's not going to affect South Africans directly. Most South Africans simply won't. If Trump suspends South Africa from the Africa Growth and Opportunity Act, that will affect hundreds of thousands of jobs in South Africa. But that's up to the suppliers or the shippers of goods and services from South African America. If they eat the 2% cost, then it won't be a major impact. So no, it's not going to affect millions of South Africans. That's another leftist fairy tale that people have told you. Simply not going to happen. Just like the story earlier about how Pumzili van Dam said Americans don't understand tariffs are going to have to pay so much for energy because 70% of their imports come from Mexico and Canada. No, I've dispelled that whole rumor. So, all right, cool beans. Okay, Rosalind's here. Rampos have been able to convince Elon Musk to change his mind. No update on that. BRICS is currently economic alliance. What will be the ramifications of it expanding to be a military alliance? Well, first off, Penguin, that's not true. BRICS is not an economic alliance. Show me the treaty between the BRICS countries. There doesn't exist a treaty. There are a number of protocols and memorandums of agreement between countries bilaterally, but there is nothing except for a few, aspirational things that they put together. There is no duty-free import to China for South African goods. There is no end of quotas for South African goods to go to China. There is no reciprocity whatsoever in BRICS. It's just a bunch of bullshit. It's vaporware. BRICS is vaporware. There's no military alliance. And this idea that Russia, China, and South Africa did a BRICS naval exercise is bullshit. Russia, China, Matthew LaGrange, thank you for subscribing. Russia, China, and South Africa did a trilateral naval exercise. You can call it BRICS, but there's no BRICS military structure. There's no BRICS alliance. There's no BRICS treaty. There's not even a BRICS defense cooperation agreement. There's not even a bilateral defense cooperation agreement between China and South Africa or Russia and South Africa, whereas we have one. So, it's just all a bunch of nonsense. BRICS is bullshit. BRICS is total bullshit. They talk a big game, but we're talking about a club full of totalitarians and fascists and socialists. Let's run through the list. Vladimir Putin, a totalitarian fascist. Xi Jinping, a communist, fascist, totalitarian dictator, president for life, communist country. Well, that's a good start. India, the world's largest democracy, full of problems. Only 3.75% or $3.75 trillion economy, dwarfed by China with a larger population. China has a population of 1.5 billion, India 1.7 billion, and China's economy is 19 trillion. India's is 3.75 trillion, just 13% of the BRICS GDP. It's a joke. It really is. That's why Silicon Valley is full of Indians, and Trump and Keir Starmer's government are full of Indians, because they leave India and they go elsewhere. Not like the Indians in South Africa and in Kenya, who were brought there by colonialism. Brazil is a weak power led by a socialist, fascist, totalitarian dictator that looks out for his own interest and persecutes his political opponents, and was imprisoned for his crimes in the past. So those are the members of BRICS. The new ones, Saudi Arabia. Yeah, a monarch. Yeah, an out of control fascist monarchy. Yeah, that has only one thing, petroleum, nothing else. And then you've got Indonesia, I think, is trying to become Algeria, another government led by a fascist, not Islamist, but fascist. Yeah, so this is a rogues gallery of totalitarians, autocrats, fascists, and dictators who will never live up to any standards in an agreement. Even if they sign a treaty, they won't adhere to it. It's a joke. It's like the non-aligned movement, NAM, back in the 1960s and 70s. What did they accomplish? They were a grievance cult. That's all they were. It's like the Organization of African Unity. Our goal is to end colonialism in Africa. Now, colonialism ended in Africa because the United States forced it to end. We forced the Brits and French to abandon their colonies, and we didn't do that to Portuguese, but Portugal, their military forced them to abandon their colonies. So, it's not because of the Organization of African Unity. The Organization of African Unity was a dictator's café clutch, and that's what BRICS is. Yep. Do you think Ron Poe is win votes with the people who don't know the consequences? Yes, I think that's the only explanation, PK. It's the only explanation. Or they just need the money. The ANC needs the money. They can't keep their Patriots machine going. There's nothing left to dole out money. They can't dole out contracts. There's no contracts. The government has no money. So they've got to do something. Iscor, yeah, ruin the tile roof manufacturing. Put a ring on her finger. Yeah, your granddad did that. What? Maybe sanctions should be put in place against South Africa. Yeah, well, that's the discussion. Some people are saying that Trump should put sanctions in place against ANC leaders and members of parliament, and maybe they should. I don't know. I'm not arguing for it. I hope whoever Trump assigns to investigate South issues are put in touch with AfriForum for information the government will not tell them. Yeah, I hope so too. AfriForum's information is good. Do I think there'll be an in-depth investigation from Trump's people about what's going on here? I don't know about that. His imprecise language doesn't help. In my video I just produced, you'll see that I said that that's part of the problem here, and I said it earlier. Trump's imprecise language. He should have said they're preparing to confiscate land from lawful owners. That's what he should have said. And he should have said it's much worse than that. It's about property, pension funds, assets. Yep. BRICS is a joke. Hendo wants me to see his last comment. Your last comment is a link. So I'll have to go to the one before that. Your last one before that's a link. Hendo, your comment's not here. Pretty please watch and share the Goed Constantia. That's what you said, Hendo. That's your last comment that I can find. Yeah, please share that, folks. Ryan used to something about farm murders. What about farm murders? What am I missing here? See my last comment. I don't. Looking. I know, it's just links, Hendo. Where's your last comment? Like an hour ago? Paulie, you're late. Hey, Paulie's late. Okay. Okay, well, thank you. People need to understand that America owes us nothing. Exactly, PK. Their taxpayers should not be working and paying for tax in our country. You never mentioned what, Ryan? That they're planning? Well, that's what I said he should have said. That's what I said he should have said. Well, it's depressing that people like Adrian Basson and Dan Corder can't see that South Africans be screwed over by blacks, and Bianca van Wyk and all that crowd. State of the Nation posted a poll, and some people actually voted they believe BRICS will take up the... Good. Well, I have no problem with that. If the Chinese want to spend $400 million a year for antiretrovirals and HIV support in South Africa, good on them. Good on them. Because that'll drag down China and help America. I have no problem with that. And it helps South Africans. I'm all for that. If Russia wants to pay for it, I'm all for it. Yep. Oh, I saw the link right now, but I mean, he said, see my comment. Yeah, please go watch. Does he want me to promote it? Yeah, folks, if you've not watched it, please go watch my Goed Constantia documentary. We're trying to get some views on that. That's from 2 years ago. And that video has lingered on YouTube because of suppression. And let me go to my analytics and see how many views it has now, as I've been asking. So, at a slight uptick, today we had 13 people, so 1,042. So 42 people have taken the heed and gone over there and watched it. So thank you for that. If we get a bunch of people start watching now, it might get traction again. Jonathan Silva says, any thoughts on Hegseth as DOD? Yeah, I think he's fine. I think he's fine there. Nice to see him being transparent with the Black Hawk incident. Yep. Vicky Parent, thank you for your membership. I appreciate that. Okay, Chinese will expect something in return. Of course they will, Charles. They won't do it out of the goodness of their heart. We do it out of the goodness of our heart. But then we get attacked by academics and leftists. Oh, America's an imperial racist nation, and they're just doing it. They're just doing it for access to minerals. And I mean, I don't know why I'm using a Southern accent to play the role of white leftists and black supremacists. But anyway, because I can't do a South African accent very well. Anyway, that's the funny thing when people are like, oh, look at him, man. Look at that South African. I'm not a South African. Or look at him claiming to be a South African. I've never claimed to be a South African. People were drinking something, Chibuku or something. Anyway, my fuck Marlies. Seriously. Anyway, yeah, my thoughts on Hegseth. He's fine. He's fine. I don't know that I like the guy personally. I shouldn't say that because that's where I'm in consideration for a job is working for him. Anyway, farm murder and rural murder stats should be specified. It can't distinguish the two to draw conclusions. Well, you can draw conclusions, Baba. It's very simple. And it's a conclusion I drew 20 years ago in the Intelligence Committee, and I reported on it. The decision to disband the commandos was foolhardy, racist, and stupid. First off, the argument was that this was a vestige of colonial of apartheid. No, the commandos predate apartheid by hundreds of years. Apartheid came into effect with the ascension of the National Party in 1948 and legislation that shortly followed after that. The commando system goes back to the early days of European settlement in the Western Cape, where commandos were formed to defend communities, just like the Minuteman system in New England in the United States in the 18th century. So it was for self-defense and also used to go on campaign as well. So the ANC fraudulently associated the commandos with apartheid, mostly because it was the commandos who caught their terrorists trying to slip into towns and kill people. So they blame them for being caught. Anyway, the commando system, 178 commandos, if I recall correctly. They were reservists. They typically worked on weekends, sometimes the week depended. And the units were overwhelmingly white. That's true. There were some colors. But the last three regiments that were organized were entirely Zulu, based in KZN. And they were basically a jobs program for those guys, but they worked really hard and they were effective. The commandos did coordinated search operations in rural South Africa. They seized drugs like mandrax and tick and daga. They arrested stock thieves. They prevented people from pouring across the border. They apprehended illegal aliens for deportation. They were very effective. And they also responded to farm invasions and farm attacks. The disbandment and removal of the commando system removed a security blanket that, while not 100% effective, certainly was a deterrent from much of the violent crime. The spike in farm attacks and rural insecurity occurred almost entirely in line with the removal of the commando regiments over 20 years, or about 20 years ago. And since then, it's been out of control. So you can draw conclusions from the data, just not the conclusions you're hoping to draw from it, I think. Trump must isolate the farm murders from the general crime stats, as specifically a criminal act as economic terror. Well, the problem with farm attacks is that it happens to everybody, and some groups in South Africa claim it's a white genocide. Other groups claim they're intentionally targeting whites. There's truth to that, but that's not an entirely true statement. All farmers are targeted. It's just that most farmers are white. It's like in America. All things being equal, more crimes should be committed by white people than by black people. They're 11% of the population. We're 75% of the population. So we should be committing 3 out of 4 crimes. But in fact, whites commit far less than that. Violent crime, over half of violent crime is committed by the 11% in this country. That's wildly out of whack. Anyway, so back to the farm thing. So I have always said all along the question is rural security. And yes, there are intentional farm attacks. There are syndicates that operate to murder farmers, and they're supplied with police weapons. And we've seen them with cell phone jammers and with body armor breaking through electric fences when power's been cut off at night based on security camera footage. We know this to be the case. But there are also crimes of opportunity because farmers are presumed to have wealth and money. One of the most tragic cases ever that I'm familiar with, it took place in KwaZulu-Natal in Elandskral, which is not too far from Rorke's Drift. I was there in the year 2000. On my way to South Africa, I was reading a Wall Street Journal article in a newspaper I picked up at the airport about a farmer and his wife who were attacked on a rural farm in a little town, well, a little settlement, a hamlet called Elandskral, which I was unfamiliar with, and in KwaZulu-Natal. And they tied him up in the kitchen and pistol whipped a 78-year-old man. They locked his wife up in the pantry, not realizing there was a window in the back that she could escape from. So they pistol whipped him to death to rob him. And the reason is because some of the farm workers who were Zulu worked on his farm. By the way, he was a Norwegian. He moved to South Africa. He bought a disused farm, and he wanted to give back and help people's lives. So he had a bunch of Zulu, 12 or 20 or something like that, working on the farm. He was paying them. Every week, he would go to the bank to collect the wages, to pay them in cash, came home, and he would pay them out on the Friday or Saturday or something like that. I don't remember exactly the story, but he collected the wages. Maybe it was Thursday night he collected them. He paid on Friday. I don't know. Anyway, so he went and collected the wages. Well, some of the farm workers decided they wanted to rob him. So they hired thugs, Tlotsi, to come down from Joburg. And they came down from Joburg. They tied him in the kitchen. They pistol whipped him to death. They robbed him. The wife got out the window in the dark, ran through the brush, got torn up by thorns and everything, ran to the closest farmhouse and got help. But they beat him to death. A 78-year-old Norwegian man, all he did was help people. And his reward for coming to South Africa was to be beaten to death by thugs for money. That's an intentional one. That's one case of it. The list goes on and on. What happened to Edward Neumeister? Shocking and unacceptable. What happened to Brendan Horner? Shocking and unacceptable. What happened to the black cattle farmer in the Free State? Unacceptable. To the 4-month pregnant Indian woman on the Ayub farm in Venan? Unacceptable. So Baba and others, this must be couched in terms of what it really is. It's a war on rural South Africa. And with already so many people around the world leaving the rural countryside for urbanization, pushing even more people in that direction is not helpful. Based on what I see, it's the opportunists taking advantage of these rural areas being inaccessible police, black, white, and color victims. Baba, what you say is an accurate statement, but there are also criminal syndicates are involved, and there's also police involvement in it too. Christophe Lombard, thank you for subscribing. All of that plays a role. And see, what you get from me, Baba, is objective, honest reportage and analysis of the whole thing. You don't hear me saying white genocide. You also don't hear me ignoring what's happening to white farmers. And you also hear me accurately reporting the farmers who've been gang raped, men and women, in their farmhouses, whose children have been put in bathtubs and electrocuted, and whose spouses have had their throats cut in front of them, and men who've had their testicles sliced off and stuffed in their mouth by these thugs. That's not a crime of opportunity. That's a revenge crime. That's a hate crime, and that's domestic terrorism. And the government of South Africa has failed to address this. There are hundreds of these crimes that are domestic terrorism, and they're not being addressed as such. And if it were addressed as terrorism and resources applied to it that you apply to do counterterrorism, this thing would come to an end. But the government of South Africa doesn't care. Yep, because every dead farmer, especially a white farmer, means more fallow, abandoned land that they can claim. Simple crimes exist in urban areas, but close quarter living has neighbors intervening. Yeah, no, Bob, I don't disagree with you. I've been to Hillbrow. I've been to Alexandria. I've been to Khayelitsha. I wouldn't call that an urban area. Jonathan says, oh no, that's Jonathan. Vicky says, considered contacting USAID last year for Dare to Care, Safe Home MPO for babies. Bad idea. Why would that be a bad idea? The only problem now is that the money won't come from them. If the money still exists, bikes and babes. Ooh, that's pretty cool. It would come, if we still do the foreign assistance, it would come through the State Department once USAID is disbanded. But I don't know if we're going to be doing that anymore, so it's hard to say with Trump. Katie Hopkins is banned from South Africa for documenting farm murders. Well, so is that lady, what the hell's her name? That chick from out in the West Coast. She was banned too. Laura Southern. She was banned too. South Africa's not a democracy, but run by liars, communists. They want to grab land, yet everything they touch fails, and people stay in shacks. It is. It's sad. It's really sad. It's really sad. I've been to Hillbrow. You wouldn't catch me there. I don't go there now either. Do you know on what channel Cryptos are? Is it 9:30 will be? What press conference, Ronaldo? What are you talking about? What press conference? Is there a crypto press conference? You know I'm not a fan of cryptocurrency. Hey, Ronaldo, how's it going? Oh, man, I'm getting tired. I've been at this for a while. Poor Katie. Well, Rome posed this ban from my household. Yeah, no, it's sad because, I mean, look, I don't know, Katie is railed against the government. I don't know that Katie did good news stories in South Africa. It's part of Trump's new position. Oh, no, I don't know anything about that. I didn't know. Okay. Cryptos are. Let me look and see. Let me see if there's something on there. Cryptos are. David Sachs. Oh, that's what you're talking about. No, I don't know if he's going to be on. It might be on television here, but I don't know. Somebody's covering it. Anyway, no, but I mean, that's the thing. And the difference with me is I try to bring you positive news stories about South Africa, the crude Constantia, the macadamia nut industry. You got the panel beaters. You got the people with small shops. We've got the Basotho Cultural Village, the merchants in Clarence, the history of South Africa. Yeah, I try to bring you all that stuff. So anyway, yep. I don't know what's coming on, Ronaldo. Sorry. Joseph loves singing. Yeah, he does love singing that. I think farmer and workers should have lived close together and ensure that at least 10 more adults are always in premises. Strengthen numbers. Well, that's an interesting point there, Baba. Yeah, but the problem is that I think what needs to happen is that actual money needs to be allocated to security in South Africa, and the police or whatever force needs to be equipped to actually perform deterrence, crime deterrence in rural South Africa and in the urban centers for that matter. But there's always cops in the urban areas. That needs to happen. The criminal justice system needs to start prosecuting criminals. And when you get a life sentence for murder, it should be life, not 10 years or 20 years. Gender-based violence crimes ought to be prosecuted to the full extent of the law. Passion killings ought to be something that people are fearful of committing. Yep. Charles says the Basotho village was very educational. Yeah, I enjoyed it. I enjoyed the video, and it was a little hard, carrying the camera around. But I enjoyed the tour was very good. I gave him a nice tip, too, by the way. It's not Superman, it's Sackman. Clarence is beautiful, says Jonathan Silva. Yeah, it's all right, except for that informal settlement that's right there in it. It's hideous looking. Trust me, but crime is very high there. Oh, no, I know crime is bad. Every time I go to Joburg, people are like, what are you doing here? But crime is creeping up in Santon even, so, you got to keep an eye on things. All right. Good ideas. All right, guys. I think it's probably time to wrap up, huh? We've been at this for almost 3 hours. I didn't realize we were going to go this long today. But we need policing resources. Yeah, that's what I'm getting at. You need policing. Yeah, you have to police and you have to prosecute the criminals. You also need to provide forensics capabilities for the police to investigate crimes, maintain a chain of custody for the evidence, and make it available to prosecutors to actually prosecute criminals. And why do I know this? Because I'm a law enforcement official. Among the many things I've done, I've been a counterintelligence agent, and handling evidence and chain of custody is part of what we do. So anyway, guys, all right, take care. It was like when they got too expensive to pay them, all permanent employees. All right, you're all very welcome. My pleasure. Thanks for being here. I said Santon. Didn't I just say Santon? Maybe your chat's coming a bit late. All right, guys, I'm knackered now. You have a good one. Thanks, everybody, for being here, and appreciate it. That's to everybody. I need to get something to eat. My head's killing me. Also got to take care of my new ID card for the Army because mine is expired. I got to get a new one. So you have to have an appointment. You have to do that online. Everything is online now. Ugh. Can't just go there and get an appointment. You guys take care. Bye-bye.